righty, it's time to begin our meeting. If you'll all find the seats. So you can get up. But you'd have a seat to get up first.
Mr. Media stoplight,
We have a quorum present. Shelby, you want to do our opening prayer? Stand, if you will, remain standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and every day you give us and the blessings we have. We ask that you be with everybody today, and we thank you for the rain. We ask that you help us do the business of the county to all concerned.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated, please. Has anybody signed up to speak?
No, sir.
There are no citizens to be heard. The reading of the minutes. I'm going to ask the court to each look over the minutes that are in our file. I believe there are 3 meetings.
I looked at mine last night, and I think we were all pretty good.
I looked at mine also, Judge, I read the one that they were all wrong. So did I didn't read them, but I trust you.
All right, with that said, I'll order that the minutes as presented will be filed as the minutes for the 3 meetings they represent. Item 7 on the agenda, report of fees, fines, and money collected by the following departments. County Clerk.
For the month of March, our total collections was $54,717.
District Clerk.
For the month of March, grand total was $27,220.40. Last checks dispersed, $7,668.40. Total for the month, $19,502.00.
0 cents.
Yes, sir.
Questions, comments? County Attorney.
Judge, we have $1,107.69 deposited in the
Say again, her 4,000.
4,107.69
Deposited where?
in the parking account of the county.
Herb, is there something in our pile or am I mixed?
Did not, I just did it this morning and I'll get you a copy of it.
That's fine.
Justices of the peace, are there any?
We have,
All right. Shelby, if you would just run through.
JP Warren, total new cases filed for the month of March, 183. Amount collected. Kept by the county, $33,750.70. Remitted to the state, $14,650.50 for a total of $43,401.20. JP2, Caroline Krzekla. Total cases for the month, new 88. Amount collected, kept by the county, $14,281.64. Remitted to the state, $5,946.98. For a total of $20,228.62. Precinct 3, Daisy Villanueva, new cases filed 139. Kept by the county, $37,201.16. Committed to the state, $14,372.48 for a total of $51,573.64. JP Ford, David Sotelo, new cases filed for the month, 85, and kept by the county, $13,529.73, remitted to the state, $5,112.27, for a grand total of $18,642. That's all for JP's.
Questions or comments from court? Constables 2 and 4.
We have their report, Judge. It's just, can you read them out what they said they did? Okay. Precinct 2, activity report for June 15th through April 2016. All civil process served 100%. Writs of possession and physical evictions 2. Fees collected $400. Citations served 18. Fees collected $1,800. 14 hot check warrants served or collected. Approximately 5,200 miles driven on patrol or service, 12 traffic stops, numerous livestock calls handled, assisted the sheriff's office on numerous calls, countless phone calls taken from county citizens, approximately 190 field contacts made, 4 hours firearms training qualification, 8 hours continuing education, provided security at home football games, provided coordinated security at the Fall City picnic, provided security for trail rides and trail dinner and dance. Constable 4, total miles 1,183, number of contacts in person, / in person 205, number of contacts by phone 303, number of papers served 1, special projects / others 5, traffic stops with 2 verbal warnings, speeding on county roads.
Comments or questions from the court? All right, those will be filed. We don't have any of the others. We will go to the constables, precinct 2 and 4. That was the constable?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have one in hand. Juveniles, department. We've got a caseload data.
Can we read it, Judge?
I was just looking at it. Well, go ahead.
Okay, caseload data, number of juveniles beginning of the month 9, number of new probationers during the month 4, number of juveniles transferred in, 0, out, 0, revocations or deaths, 0, number of terminations or completions, 1, paper referrals, 1, formal referrals, 3, let's see, amount of fees, let's see, supervisory fees, $33.33, court costs $11.11, attorney's fees $222.23, restitution 0, drug test $33.33, deferred, I don't know what POS is, prosecution $20, and drug test $20. Total amount of fees should be collected 40, percentage of collection 133%.
No, I mean, the amount of fees that should be collected, what it should be collected with. Does the auditor have any idea?
I think you reckon some of these are assessed and not paid.
I don't have any idea.
Not on
I'm
this
not
one.
clairvoyant, although I try to be sometimes.
James, you know anything of this? No.
Who-
That's your department.
Who did this come from? Neva?
I know she's in conference right now, so she's not here. She's in somewhere.
Who's she conferring with?
She's at a JJAC conference.
Well, I will speak to her when she comes back. It would be nice if we knew what we were talking about. And if she can't be here, she can get somebody to present minute for. So let's move on. Permitting special projects.
Yeah, somewhere here.
I've got my hand on it. Karnes County Road and Bridge permits,
Okay, this is the water line permits, Judge, for use of the county roads. And we had a total collected this month, or in March, excuse me, for $14,760. The total collected for the fiscal year so far is $192,130. And then on the next page, we have the floodplain assessments. That was the next one. We had a total of the permits of $950. We have an inspector who checks them, an engineer, that we pay $350. We pay the TDCQ 20, and I don't know how that's arrived at. So the county's retained portion of the permitting fees is $580.
I think that's right. I'm not sure, did you?
This is, oh, I missed one up here at the top.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shelby. What I read last is actually for the homes. The floodplain part of it, excuse me, total collected was $7,050. The engineer fee was $4,800, and the county portion was $2,250. And that last part was the sewer permits. I'm sorry, I read it, got them backwards.
Okay, any questions or comments?
We must, I was just looking at it. I thought the floodplain permits were a lot more than they have been, but I guess oil companies are working in floodplain.
Who oversees this for the county?
Helen. What's her last name?
Hernandez.
Hernandez.
Is Helen Hernandez here?
She is.
Okay.
They've been bringing them in. For now, they've been reporting to me. I'm trying to give them to Dale, but he's reluctant to take them, so.
Okay.
Dale, is this something that you could look at on these floodplain things instead of paying someone outside? We're not trying to load your boat too heavy, but I'm just curious.
Eventually, I think we probably can, yes.
Okay.
Typically, the county engineer is responsible for, is designated as the floodplain manager.
We want the roads fixed first, yes.
So we can, we can look into it and see exactly what we've got. That's one thing I was wanting to do is FEMA maps, see when they were last updated, how good they are in the county.
Probably 50 years ago.
No, I think they're looking at least the last 3 years. You think, for sure.
We'll look into it all together, learn, hopefully. Okay. Sheriff's Office, I believe, is next. They're ready, so whether it's next or not. Did y'all catch our robber yet?
Yes, sir, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. All right, the Karnes County Sheriff's Office March 2016 monthly call report. We start with alarm calls, residential and business. We received 20 for the month. Domestic disturbance fights 14. Assaults 21. Criminal mischief 2. Harassments 7. EMS calls 146. Fire calls 15. Escorts 6. Loose livestock 45. Prisoner transports 81. Request to speak to an officer 174. Road hazards 28. Suspicious activity, 2. Suspicious subject vehicles, 30. Thefts, we had 23. Warrant services, 13. Miscellaneous calls, 295. Welfare checks, 21. Reckless driver, 29. Traffic stops, 450. Citations, 215. Warnings, 235. Commercial vehicles, 27. County road traffic stops, 41. Accidents, 79. Arrest, 87. 911 calls, 1,516. And our jail count today is 37.
Any questions from the court, comments? Thank you, Sheriff.
You're welcome.
Additional comments that we wanted to make, Judge. Yesterday about 10:45 in the morning, we had an aggravated robbery out here on 181 there at the Rose Game Room. 2 individuals walked in with guns and robbed the patrons there, the owner of the business. They took a large sum of money. They fled and went towards Beeville, and anyway, we worked all day and most of the night last night. We ended up taking 3 females into custody. The 2 males that actually did the robbery are still running loose. We have warrants for them. They're from B County, so we have those authorities down there searching for these people. So it's still a very active investigation. But we believe we do know who they are. Luckily, there was no injuries. But anyway, it turned out to be a very frightening thing for the owners of that business. They got into the safe and took a bunch of money out of their safe there.
Do you have any idea how much money they took?
I do, Judge, but I'm not at liberty to tell you right now. The district attorney and them are working with us. We are still trying to serve a search warrant and do some other things, so I'm not at liberty to announce that right now. There was one other point of interest. Tomorrow from 1 to 5 in the afternoon, the ICE facility is having a public hearing on some of their issues, and the sheriff may want to elaborate more of that. If any of the court or the judge is interested in coming out there, it's from 1 to 5, or the public. I think it was in the paper this week about that, so if anybody's interested in what's going on out at the ICE facility here, do you want to make any comments, Sheriff?
I spoke to the warden, and they are going to give the public a chance to speak. I think she said 15 minutes, but everyone that shows up and signs up, they are going to give them an opportunity to voice their opinion.
It's a come and go thing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's from 1 to 5.
Are they going to give each one 15 minutes? Or?
I believe that's what the warden told me. I think she said 15. But everyone that shows up and signs up to speak, they're going to give them an opportunity to speak.
There's a lot of concern in the community, and the sheriff and I get quite a few calls about what goes on out there, so this is an opportunity for the public to go out there and voice their concerns if you have any.
Does this hearing have to do with their potential change of status to become CPS facility?
That's one of the subjects that's going to be brought up.
What kind of calls or complaints do you get, Robert? I mean, just...
You have a certain group of people who don't believe that facility should be there at all, Commissioner. So that's what a lot of the concerns are about what goes on out there. We really don't have any control over that. That's their deal. It's a federal facility. We don't have any control over that.
Is this the same individuals that are cycling through again and again and again with complaints or concerns?
I would say yes, to be fair to you, Commissioner. But also, from time to time, we get protesters out there. We get people that come out there. And so once that happens, then the sheriff's office has to get involved, because that's, and they stay in the bar ditch and the highways and all that. So that's our duty to, protect the facility.
We've also had calls from over there where sometimes they'll just drop off families there at the facility, but we'll have to call ICE or Border Patrol to come take custody of them. We've had 2 incidents.
But there'll be an illegal that someone will just drop off at the front door and say, take them, and they say,
yours.
Yes.
Ms. Stetson.
I called the organization in San Antonio, and what they are wanting the public to do, for us to do, and I'm sure especially the Commissioner's Court, is they want to look at they're wanting to add the license. This is all about the licensing of this new unit.
Well, they need to come down here and talk to us about it. Nobody has been in here and talked to me, and I'm here every day.
I know it, I understand that, and really, the commissioners really need to be aware of that, because what they want to know is if there's going to be any adversity to the county if they give this licensing, and that's what they want. And she said that we write down everything the public tells us, and they're just putting through the application for GEO. So it's a long process, she says, but that's how they make their decision. They listen to what everybody has to say, and then take it back and look at it. But they're not going to grant the license right at that particular time tomorrow.
Well, I don't understand why they haven't been in contact with my office.
Well, it really does need to be, and the commissioners need to be really involved in that, because...
But it's hard for us to be involved when they don't come and talk to us, and we don't know what they're up to.
I know.
We can't follow them around daily.
I know, and you just have to, I read it in the paper, and so I got concerned about it because we have 1,100 beds will be, and I was reading the discussion that the commissioners had, and Jeff Chapman was here, and he said some question was asked, but about what if GEO lost their funding, what have they decided to close the unit? Would there be any way they could, there's not anything to stop them from releasing them here in the community? To me, that would be adverse to the county. It certainly would be negative and not positive. And so that should be a concern to all of us. That's just one of the points.
They could open the gate this morning and we wouldn't know, and there's not much we can do about it. We don't have any input with them, and we don't have any influence with them that I'm aware of.
Well, I called Sheriff Villanueva because he does go out there, and so he was giving the information that I asked for, and but he is in contact with them.
Yes.
The original contract, when they approached you all, was for women and children, and I'm sure that you're aware that there was a federal judge ruling that the women and children could no longer be held. This licensing is to change the facility for the ability to be able to house juveniles, and particularly males. And there was a large hearing for this unit to change to a residential unit in Austin, and I don't think anybody here was even aware in our county that hearing took place in Austin. There was great protest. They said there were thousands of people that sent emails, calls, and showed up to speak. And unfortunately, they were unable to be successful in trying to prevent that facility from becoming what they called, quote unquote, a residential center, which relaxed the rules for their ability to be able to house the younger people. So this is opening a Pandora's box.
Judge, I may stand corrected, but I think during the last discussion with the court and this the last agreement, I think y'all did a renewal. I think there was a stipulation in there saying that they couldn't release them, that if they did close the facility, they would have to take them to another facility or to another location. So during that last round of discussions here about 6 or 8 months ago, maybe a year ago, the county commissioners, y'all, one of the things I think Commissioner Reynolds expressed and some others about, and they were not opening the doors and releasing them. So to answer your question, Ms. Stimson, I think it's part of the performance contract where they're not allowed to do that in Karnes County regardless. If they lost their contract, they would have to take it somewhere else.
I read the contract. I didn't see that in there.
I know that was in the discussions, and I know that the court wasn't going to sign the agreement until that was put in there. And Mr. Herb can probably elaborate on that a little more. But if I stand corrected,
there was an amendment. I didn't read the amendment.
Am I right on that, Herb? I believe.
You're right.
Okay.
Is the event that we're speaking of the actual hearing for CPS to determine, or is this just?
This is a GEO public hearing to take input from the community. Is what it's set up, if I understand it right.
It's the licensing company, the licensing organization, and it's And they're asking for an RPO, which is a residential operation, with the GEO. But you could find out, like I found out, I read it in the paper and started looking into it.
And as Ms. Hall said, there's been some protests at other facilities. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We'll be ready. We'll have additional people over there, and if 1,000 people shows up or 10 people show up, we'll be ready to see what happens.
But one thing that, there was in the contract is they were to give the Karnes County $100,000 every year. According to the auditor's office, that hasn't been, we haven't been reimbursed for that. That's
It's
an
not a
adverse.
matter of reimbursement, it is an administrative fee.
It
for the
is an
work that we do.
administrative fee, I beg your pardon.
And I think the only jurisdiction that the court has over any of this is if the contract is a federal contract and it has to go through the county, then the court can have authority over it. If this is just a Children's Protective Services contract, I believe that's just a state contract, and I don't think it will have to have court approval, because they will bill the court directly. We won't be the middleman for that.
No, this is a licensing. This organization is a licensing.
Right,
And
they
I
have
don't
to be
that in
licensed to
front
be
of
able
them.
to qualify.
And that's what they're doing. They will make that decision as
Right.
to whether they'll license
Correct.
or not. That's
But
what
I'm
the hearing
just
is.
saying that that's how the court will be involved or not involved. If it's a federal contract, they have to use Karnes County to do it, because the federal agency will only go through the county with contracts, and then we assign our contract to GEO. But if it's a state agency, I don't believe this county has to be involved.
I think it's an ICE agency. As I said, I should have brought that.
Well, I
This
know
morning, I didn't
that
think it was
the
going to come
discussion
up.
has been Child Protective Services, and if that's the case, that's a
That's
state
it.
agency.
That is. That's
Yeah,
what it
Child
is.
Protective Service would be a state contract.
It
This
is
is
a
something
child
in the form
protective.
of ICE, but
Right.
if it's CPS, then it would be under state control.
That's why I was interested in tomorrow was the hearing for that, but did I get this correct, maybe from Mrs. Hall, that they had the hearing in Austin over this already, or
I
is
think that was a different facility, right?
Well, they changed the name of the facility, if you know sometime back to a residential facility. That was not the original title of the facility. And that's what the protest was in Austin was about, because actually what inevitably ended up happening as it changed from being just a women's and children place to hold the immigrants until their hearings came. When the federal judge ruled that all the women and children could no longer be incarcerated, they had to figure out a way to fill the facility, so they were trying to change the title of it to quote unquote a residential center.
I think there's a residential facility.
this is totally not appropriate, but if it were left to be when they crossed the border, they would get a ticket back to where they came from, whether they're a juvenile, adult with a child, or whomever else. And so I'm not very sympathetic toward all of the other stuff. I mean, they're here of their own volition, and they've learned, have figured out that they cry amnesty or victim, that they can stay, and that our idiot federal government will allow it. And we're spending our time fiddling with something that should be solved at a much higher level.
Well, I will say that Child Protective Services has had major issues with housing for children in their custody. And there was a news announcement yesterday by Ken Spivey that Hank Whitman is now going to head up the Child Protective Services Division. He was appointed by Governor Abbott.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's what was on the news this morning.
We heard from Sergeant Hinkie of the Highway Patrol during the budget hearings, and I'm taking the court's time, pardon me, but he had been on the border, and he said if they come across from Mexico, they got a ticket back straight away. He said if they come from Central America, oh no, they give them $188 a bus ticket and go where you want to go. We got a broker system, folks.
That we don't have any control over.
There's some Rico viruses in Houston now because of that. Bunch of them. in Houston.
I didn't mean to open up a can of worms, Judge.
Well,
You don't have to comment.
wait. Let's come in because we've gone astray from where we are.
Yes, we are.
Go ahead.
You've had response from the jail administration for testing?
We haven't had an actual date, given an actual date.
For the inspection.
It's scheduled for this week.
It's scheduled,
Right,
yeah.
but they hadn't given us an actual date.
I thought I saw
But
an email
you're
yesterday
waiting for sometime this
Right,
week.
for the
correct.
14th.
Yeah, there was an email yesterday, and it said the 14th, which would be tomorrow.
Okay.
No, the 14th would be Thursday.
I'm in Thursday, yeah.
Did they deal with the auditor rather than the court?
No, actually, I got copied on it. It was to the court.
Was it to the court? Okay. Secretary, did I get that yesterday?
Yes, sir, you did.
Okay, did we get it out in our package to the court
Yes.
this morning? Okay, all of you should have something on that.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
We're EMS.
Okay, for the month of March, 146 dispatch requests. Last year, for March, we had 128. 149 patient contacts, transported 97 of those patients. Obtained 37 refusals. We had 10 canceled calls. We had 8 calls that had multiple patients. We only did 1 air evacuation. We had 4 out-of-county emergency transports, 10 in-county non-emergency transfers, 15 emergency transfers, which those were from hospital to another hospital. 2 fire standbys resulted in 54 trauma patients, 106 medical patients. Year-to-date, calendar year-to-date calls, 425 dispatch requests. I added the fiscal year-to-date calls in there from October 1, which would be 834. Total collections during the month of March, $44,373.56. One thing I missed putting it on there, but if you want to write it in, we billed out during the month of March $50,633.09.
$50,633.09.
Yes, sir. The fiscal year to date for the collections is $192,512.11.
Your new farm working well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're getting the little small things worked out every day, but I'm real pleased with them for what they do as far as obtaining patient information, keeping me up on things that might be missed or what we need to get, so then we can get that in and get them turned around and billed back in a timely manner.
Are the collections primarily insurance company payment?
Yes, sir. There are a few that are maybe, even though there's some type of insurance, some of them are maybe job related. Some of those take a little longer. There's very few that we actually have that are, well, that we have now that are actually, individuals that either A, don't have insurance or dispute the fact that they were hauled by an ambulance or something to that effect. I think since October, we may have 10 of those out there, where before we would have 50 to 60, because the other company I don't feel like I don't want to say they weren't doing their job, but it's just amazing how many more people now have insurance than what we had before.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Move on to item 8 on the agenda. The first item is a report from Road and Bridge.
Okay, I think y'all were given packets as to the summaries of work that was performed here in the county. I do have one small correction to that summary. If you look at the daily work expense summary on page 3, about halfway down County Road 249, on reviewing, I noticed that we were missing something in that number. We did not spend the whole year's budget on that one roadway. There was a decimal left out, and so that is probably supposed to be 72,363.70. I'll have to verify that, but the amount of base put on that roadway was off by 10.
Okay, would you check and report at the
And I'll
next
get
board
you,
meeting?
I'll get you a total figure on that.
Thank you. Anything else that you need to bring to our attention?
Nothing here other than just to let you know, the county roads 211, 236, or 326, and 199 are waiting for second course of asphalt to be put on them. Those 3 roadways are pretty well complete except for that final surface.
Say the numbers again. 211 and
211,
what else?
326, and while you're getting there, 199 if you pass it up.
Already did.
Those are the 3 of the TxDOT grants. 211 is not, but the other 2 are. The third project for the Texas Grant 182, they were looking to surface that roadway this week, weather permitting. However, that will be delayed. Last week on my review of the project, I noticed the roadway exceeded the width of the design plans by several feet. I requested Naismith to verify the depth of base, and the plans call for 8 inches. If the roadway is 6 foot wider than what it should be, I felt like we did not have our 8 inches. They took tests yesterday and verified we have a little over 5 in the depth of the roadway. Therefore, they're out there again this morning, rerunning the test with the contractor present, and Mike is there to represent us. And if they are short, they will not seal the roadway until we have our plan quantity.
Have we got enough of the money withheld at this point to cover
Yes,
what needs to be done to get what we're paid for?
I am holding estimate number 3 and 4.
Okay.
Naismith had submitted those a couple of weeks ago, and that's why I was reviewing the project. They were looking to pay 100% of the flex base.
I want to,
And Naismith had approved it?
They had reviewed the estimates and submitted them on, yes.
That's not good.
you might want to let your associates in Corpus Christi know I read in the county magazine last night that Naismith had got a contract to help them renovate their roads to the tune of $5 million. So.
Can you speak into the microphone there? It's kind of
Oh, I'm
hard to
sorry.
hear.
Excuse me. I said I read in the little TAC magazine that Naismith had been selected as the engineering firm to the tune of $5 million for Nueces County to help renovate their county roads. So anyway, you could send them a recommendation. I have a couple of things, pardon me, that I won't ask Luana because she probably couldn't answer them, but they're in the budget part of it.
Maybe she's smarter than you think.
Luana, do you know what a door relay that costs almost $2,000 at French Ellison Trucks is?
It's on a 2013 Kenworth dump truck that the electrical door lock failed and it had to be replaced.
When we buy the next truck, it is a plain cab, no electric windows, no anything like that. That's ridiculous. that truck should still be in warranty.
And that's one thing that we're investigating on some of the work that has been done on that tractor. I know that they were working on the PTO. We had it up there 3 separate times before they realized the hydraulic hoses were reversed. Instead of sucking for the trailer, we were trying to push it out.
Okay. Someone called Roadside Inc., $7,500, multi-CR vegetation.
Vegetation eradication.
Yes, I think that's our weed control, which we are looking at also. We've had several reports around the county to where it was total weed control. The contractor is telling us that it will kill vegetation, but it would be rejuvenated. So we are investigating that to verify. It's supposed to be a pre-emergence that were to keep the weeds from emerging this spring. And I guess if you kill everything, they're not going to emerge either.
Ask him what he can use. The only thing I know that's pre-emergence is atrazine, and that's not approved for much of anything anymore, except corn.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the contract requires. I'll have to-
I had some grumbles from a fellow who, they sprayed the fence row, and, we have different opinions, but he was upset because it, quote, killed everything, including his cover for his quail, so you get all
Correct.
kinds of opinions.
Correct. That's what I was seeing, is that we've got several roads. Every one that they sprayed has got a 10-foot wide dead spot.
I think before we hire anybody again, we need, without taking anything away from you, maybe they need to come to the court with a presentation or something.
That was done prior to Dale's arrival.
I know. I'm just, and same with the bidding process. I know you're working on it. So.
Correct.
And you've gone to an 8-hour day, correct, for everybody, 5/8?
Yes, we did 2 weeks ago.
Supervisors as well?
Correct. Along with everyone meeting at the Kennedy office.
Daily as they go to work, is that what you're saying?
That's correct. Everybody in the department meets at the Kennedy office to receive daily instructions and to punch in.
Thank you for your effort.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Morning.
This is my first time to give a report to the Commissioners Court, so I hope it's the information you're looking for. If not, I'll make sure it's corrected for next month. I went by what I had seen had been given to y'all before. So what we've been doing since I've gotten here, I've gone through all the files and gotten everything organized in a manner that I'm accustomed to, what I've been accustomed to, so I can find files, getting contacts together. We're in the process of setting up all the May elections. There are several political subdivisions that will have city and school elections. Those have to be set up in team. We're also setting up the primary runoff in team. All the ballots are here for the city and school elections. I just signed off about an hour ago on all the programming and ballots for the primary runoff. I've been reviewing the duties of the elections office staff, and they have expressed to me that they'd like to learn a little bit more about elections. Their main duties right now are on voter registration. So we have started the process of doing a little more cross-training for them. And where we started is with the mail ballot processing. So they're very intelligent people and quite capable of learning more. So I'd like to see them have more cross-training. We are still receiving voter registration cards on a daily basis, but they have slowed down since the deadline to register to vote for the primary election. We're just trickling in. There was a problem my first week here with DPS receiving those applications, so we're getting about 10 to 15 a week, so it's not much. We just passed the deadline for the city and school elections to register to vote. That was April the 7th. The next deadline to register to vote for the primary runoff, if you're not registered or if you've moved, is April the 25th. Early voting will start for the city and school elections April the 25th, and will go through May the 3rd. So, and the primary runoff election, early voting will start May the 16th and run through May the 20th. There's only a week of early voting for that. I have talked to, set up meetings. I met with Sandra at the city of Kennedy. I'm going to meet with Runge on Thursday. There's ISD, and then I'm going to Falls City on Friday to meet with them. They're walking in the middle of an election process is a challenge. I'm always up for a challenge, but I needed to see, you know, exactly what they expect. So that's why I'm going to meet with them. The office staff and I will be attending spring and summer events to help register people to vote for the presidential election in November. We're also going to meet with the principals at the high schools and have them gather the seniors so we can, you know, talk to them and educate them on the voting process and help them to get registered to vote, and also try to get them to talk to their parents and see if they want to register to vote. I have updated the website with election information. There is a little bit more information. The hours of early voting will need to be put on there, and sample ballots. And I just received the sample ballots for the schools, so those will be on there before the end of the week. We have received a number of mail ballot applications, and we're processing those daily. For the primary runoff, they received over 500 mail ballot applications for the primary, and they're considered annual applications, and they automatically will get a ballot for the runoff. And since I've been here, we're processing anywhere from 3 to 8 a day, so they're still coming in. And for the city and school elections, somebody's working really hard in Kennedy because we're getting a multitude of requests for that election. So, yeah, they're working really hard there. We are required to do a logic and accuracy testing on the electronic voting equipment. The first one we'll do will be for the city and schools. That will be posted in the paper next week, and that is open to the public. So the primaries will be done about a week or two before early voting starts on that, and that will also be posted at the time and place it will be held. We've already put the supplies together for the election judges for both the elections that we have coming up in May. And we're talking to potential early voting clerks and clerks that want to work for those up to elections that are coming up. And the last thing I have is I have a multitude of contracts for the judge to sign today. One thing I can say about the contracts before we get to that agenda item, these were processed prior to my coming in as elections administrator. So I did leave some copies with the county attorney because I wasn't sure if you'd ever reviewed those for the protection of the county. So I did want to make sure that the court knew that. So, and 2 of the contracts have Karen's name on those, but I can remove her name and just write my name in. So, is there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I understand elections well. I ran for the Kennedy School Board 7 times, won 4 and lost 3. I understand losing and winning and the whole mess. So I'm ahead 4-3 at this point. I think I'm going to quit as far as the school board's concerned. We have a report from the Extension Service, I believe, next. Is anybody here from the Extension Service? Did they bring anything in? Just you want to go ahead, since I don't even know where mine is.
Jared, I want to submit a report. Didn't have nothing from Megan. This is activities since last report: soil health seminar, Houston Livestock Show, rodeo Austin, site visits, livestock judging practice, project evaluation, Conoco philanthropic lunch. Made 54 4-H contacts, made 36 A&R contracts, visits, made 5 community development contacts and visits. Plans for next month: shooting sports planning meeting, TCAA, animal industry state meeting, District 11 Spring Spectacular, District 11 livestock judging contest, District 11 horse judging contest, Conoco charity skeet shoot, 4-H volunteer project, and budget hearing. Total miles traveled for the month was 1,596.4 miles. The second page is just a list of his mileage to the respective places that he went to. And again, there's nothing from Megan.
I'll contact her and see if we can.
Auditor's office.
She never has anything.
Much to the non-support of Mr. Reynolds, I do know something.
I just said you never had it.
Yes, but earlier you said I wouldn't know the answer to your question. And I had specifically asked, so I would be prepared, because I knew you would ask. Okay, on this month's report, if you'll look at page 2, the differences in the general fund and in the payroll fund, those have been already identified with those of y'all that had received the treasurer's report early. As of yesterday, those have not been identified as to what exactly they are, but Vi has indicated that they should wash in the April report. Page 4 is the interest income earned during March of 2016 from our outside investments. The total for the county is $13,618.47. The next page is a spreadsheet of the individual funds that have outside investments. Our total outside investments as of March 31st is $59,337,753.61. The next 3 pages are the support from our outside investments that tie to my investment income summary as well as the spreadsheet summary. Your next 3 pages that are titled Detail Report are the summary of the outside investments in the financial system, which also balances to the statements from each individual investment that we have. The next page is the debt obligations. We did not pay any debt within the month of March. We do have a payment due today to Falls City National on a tractor and boom shredder through Road and Bridge, which is the last payment.
The last page.
Yes. And then the final page is items of interest. Sales tax receipted March 2016, $436,292.63. Sales tax for the same period in 2015, $902,209.09. That's a decrease of approximately 51.64%, or $465,916.46 in one calendar year for that particular month. The total sales tax receipted from October through March, MAR, not MSR, for fiscal year 2016, it's $3,125,029.66. For the same period last fiscal year, 2015, it was $5,330,337.70, a decrease of approximately 41.37%, or $2,205,308.04. I will inform the court that we just received notice of our sales tax deposited directly from the comptroller this month, and it is a $219,744.73 decrease from last month. So as anticipated, our sales tax is steadily going south. Reimbursement for the legal fees involved with the tax abatement from Energy Transfer have been received. You'll never see that notation again.
How long did it take? 2 years, 3 years?
Longer than that. It was back in '09, I believe, that they first started working on it.
What did, if I recall correctly, did we budget $4 million for tax receipt, sales tax
Yes.
receipts? So we're still
We're still
with that
okay
part.
with our budget, yes. But it will be something to be of concern as we prepare next year's budget. Senate Bill 1747, reimbursement request number 5, $371,718.75 was submitted to TxDOT yesterday. we should be receiving that direct deposit probably within the next 10 days. And that's today's report.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying everything, that's it.
Victims Assistant Coordinator. Is there anybody here?
Judge, last month, we picked up, in the month of March, 14 new cases. We handled about 126 phone calls. We had a final protective order issued in the month of March. We have one victim that has been awarded compensation in March. 3 applications are pending, and we have 3 victims that either been placed in treatment or residential facilities in the month of March. So that's basically where we are, and what's going on with that office at this time.
Herb, I'm not sure what the justification for that office. It seems like to me the caseload is very small, and maybe I just don't really understand.
Well, the cases that we have take more than just 30 minutes to handle. They're the kind that takes a lot of time to deal with. One of the things that we ran into this month is some of our police agencies will charge both the husband and the wife, and we're faced with having to deal with the police officers file on them to bring them in, and then we get the request to dismiss the case, and we have to try to work out something. What we did on 2 of the cases this month was get an agreement from both the husband and the wife to go to treatment, not treatment, but to a program to our anger management or in counseling, and we've been successful on those 2 kind of things. But that's basically the employee is staying busy. As you know, our office is kind of slow, kind of small, and I can hear what's going on, and there's a lot of activity, and it's not associated with anything else except the victims and how they're dealt with. She does all the protective orders, and all the requests for protective orders. We should get some literature this month that goes to the rights of victims. As you know, we're getting to try some cases. She deals with the victims in those cases that are set for trial and explains to them what our trial program is. So there's a lot to it, but the caseload that we've got at this time. Any other questions?
You think it's a full-time job?
Yes, sir.
I have some doubts about that, but perhaps it's because of ignorance more than anything
I
else.
don't know. I appreciate the questions, and I will, diligently look at it, but the way it looks now, Judge, it is a full-time job. We have not let her do anything. Now, she will answer the phone occasionally when somebody else is busy, but that's about all that we get from us. We're so closely tied to each other that I basically know what's going on with all of them.
I understand, I'm not sure you hear it all when you're out in the hall, which is where you have to be when you have an office full.
Well,
That's not a way it ought to be, but where do you talk privately with these victims? Is there a place that you go in the kitchen?
We go in the kitchen and we.
Of course, you can hear out of the kitchen, unfortunately.
Well, the only people that you hear is our office, and usually our office is supposed to not talk to anybody about what goes on.
Well, I understand that.
But we use the district court deliberation room.
Yeah.
A lot of it's 17.
Herb, is there training for the officers that respond to these cases through your victim assistance coordinator, things to look for that have y'all conducted any, or do y'all plan to?
Yes, we got that in the process, but she's talked to each of the chiefs, and they have a pretty good program that's set up. The sheriff's office has gotten real good. Their officers know what to do when they go to a scene and deal with the family violence issues. And we're a misdemeanor court, but if you look in the news today, a lot of the major homicides are deaths and suicides, and they're associated so closely with your domestic violence issues. Our officers are getting hurt primarily in domestic violence issues, cases. So we are trying to get at the bottom level on a small basis to try to address these. Fortunately, it hasn't happened in this county, but the sheriff's office is real good about giving the victims in assault cases Erica's name, and they call. The sheriff's office, the police department in Kennedy is getting better at doing that. The one in Karnes City, we need to work just a little bit more on that. So. But yes, we are trying to train all of them, because it's very important that they get the information. And we've got some pamphlets that we've ordered that we're going to hand out to the police departments that they can use in giving them to the victims as we go along. But we're trying to head off some of the violence that has been associated with family violence in the past that we've not dealt with. We just kind of overlooked it.
And it's a needed job, I know.
It's,
I've practiced law here 50-something years, and I've seen lots of this.
you know, in my opinion, if we save one individual from some violent,
I wish they'd have protected me from my wife a couple of times, but she seemed to prevail every time.
It's called justifiable homicide.
No, I'm being facetious, unfortunately. Thank you, Herb.
Thank you, sir.
Building maintenance.
Anyway, we're in the process of hiring a new maintenance superintendent. That should be, hopefully we'll have someone next week.
Is there still one to interview? If I remember,
Yes.
we've interviewed everybody, but
So, anyway, I'm working with them, got supplies ordered and things that they needed. Everything's going all right. And as far as the buildings, Herb, we're still waiting for a report on this building testing, correct? You haven't heard anything?
Yes, Jeff told me they were getting close. We still have a problem in the JP office that I called about. I'll talk to him today about that. We're growing mold again in the JP office. So we haven't answered the question as to what the problem is.
Hopefully we'll have some answers on that soon.
I hope within by the next commissioner's court meeting.
well, I'm not sure that I'm an expert on mold, but there's got to be a leak somewhere where there's some dampness, and that's what's causing the mold, is it not? As I say, I'm not a mold expert, but it doesn't take the village idiot can kind of tell that, and that's the reason I know. All right, anything further?
No, I do not, I did not talk to Jeff yesterday, but that's all that's the reason I called, because that's this facility here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jamie said we've had some good applicants.
Excuse me?
We're on the interview committee. I'd say, are there some good applicants for building?
Yeah, we had 3 applicants. 2 of them just kind of said that they weren't interested afterwards. And we kept 1 out of them, and then we have 1 today at 2. Today at 2, so we're going to have 2 out of them. We originally had 7, but 4 of the 7 interviewed them, and some of them weren't, or some of them, I guess, weren't happy or whatever, for whatever reason, they didn't want the job.
Okay,
Well,
well, that's better to know it now than later.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 went out after they found out what the pay was.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it.
Well, the reality is that we don't pay as much as they expected us to, and whether that's legitimate or not, who knows, but that's what happened.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Status report on county personnel policies.
The committee met last month and we gave sample policies for a drug testing policy, and everybody's supposed to make revisions, so we're going to come back and meet again, and then we'll submit it to the court. I attended a HR thing in College Station last week. It was very informative. Even though you're in a small community, you think things don't happen. From what I hear from the head guy from the EO out of Houston and takes care of most of our area, there's a lot of issues concerning discrimination as well as other violations that the federal government is starting to get involved in.
Any specific things, general?
General job accommodations as well as religion type comments, as well as sexual harassment and discrimination. They suggested too that everybody needs to audit their policies, make revisions continuously. Hiring practices is another thing that's going to be changing, as well as the rules conforming to the Obamacare. That's getting to be another big issue. They're going to be changing some things with that this year. I provided the literature I collected. I provided it to Mary, and she's going to make copies and give it to everybody.
Okay. Building status report, Pete. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that right? Yeah. You gave that. James is on the recycling and waste.
Yes, sir, Judge. I advised the supervisor that's there now presently to place all the incoming materials in the dumpsters. Nothing's going to hit the ground anymore, so like you had said, to see if we could just get rid of everything, so that's what we're doing. And we've still been calling Waste Management about the trash compactor. We've set a few meetings, they've missed it. But we're still calling to see when, I'm sure they're busy, but we're still calling to see when we can have a meeting with them. It's been already about a month. They probably missed like 3 meetings that we're supposed to have over here. The tires are still coming in. Dale, I was waiting. I know you're really busy, that's why I haven't been writing you or anything. But I was just waiting for a response about we're going to get together with a trailer and see what we're going to do with that. The trailer that we have there, and we were going to, the box trailer.
Mike was working on that.
Oh, he was? Okay, he has it.
I'll check with him and then come back.
Okay, no problem. I know that y'all are really, really busy, but that's still waiting on that. And as we speak, the tires are still coming in. County's still bringing in tires, individuals are still bringing them in. There's still some other issues that I have explained to in court, but me and Shelby were supposed to get together a few weeks ago. We haven't. He's been busy. I've been busy. And we're going to try to get together hopefully sometime this week to see if there's some issues going on and maybe we can both solve there. Minor issues, nothing major. And I had talked to the judge about maybe getting that facility to answer to the whole court rather than to just one individual commissioner. We might have a work session on there. I have also talked to the present supervisor about taking over the whole facility, and he said, yeah, he wouldn't have a problem reporting to Commissioner's Court. He said if Commissioner's Court set some rules for him, what he needs to do on site and in court, whatever he needs to bring to us, on a monthly basis or whatever he needs, he would follow all the rules. Besides that, it's business as usual.
Does he feel like he doesn't have rules now?
He has the rules that I've set on him, but being that there's gonna be five of us, it's not gonna be the exact same rules that I set on him.
Can you bring us a copy of whatever they're going by?
Ever since I took that over a few years ago, and I believe the third commissioner that takes it over, everything has just been verbally. There's nothing that
There's nothing in writing.
I have written down. Now, there is on his job description on what he has to do, but there's also other things that are not in the job description that he does, that each commissioner that's taken over there has just handled it in their own way.
Will that facility have to be renamed to, maybe re-permitted to a transfer facility instead of a receiving?
We have TCEQ on watching us now. If it becomes a transfer station, it becomes a lot more hassle. I did some research on there. TCEQ will be there more often. There's more rules, regulations on a transfer station than there is on a collection station. We can look into it, but we would have to have a meeting on that because it gets real sticky when it's a
Well, I
transfer
was just
station.
wondering if they were gonna make us go that route. That was my concern.
I've met with TCEQ on that. It's up to the county if we want to go that route. It'd be our decision on that.
But you're not recommending.
I don't recommend a transfer station, but if the court sees that we need one, then we can make it. It's just gonna be, that's why I kind of want the whole court to oversee this, because there is a lot of things that I don't feel comfortable making a decision out there, like becoming a transfer station.
We'll set up
Okay. Workshop?
a workshop.
We really need to look at that facility very hard.
Yeah. This week I'll meet with you, we'll go down there, and then we'll bring it to the whole court.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's it, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Permits, David?
We did the permits already, and the only other addendum to that is that, like I say, as facilities permit and time permits, we're talking, I say I and Dale have talked about transferring the permitting section to Road and Bridge. It fits what they do, it coordinates with what they do, but until such time as there's space available for them, we're probably going to continue to struggle along as we are now, but that's about the only thing.
Okay, if y'all will keep us informed. Okay, that completes item 8 on the agenda. Move on to item 9, tax collector's report.
Okay.
Elections for the month of March, M&O, $101,543.23. Year-to-date, $19,035,714.80, for a collection rate of 95.65%. Delinquent, month-to-date, $4,035.77. Year-to-date, $47,974.10, for a collection rate of 19.67%. INS for the month of March, $7,802.68. Year-to-date, $1,461,536.29, for a collection rate of 95.64%. Delinquent INS for March, $372.88. Year-to-date, $4,609.32, for a collection rate of 20.52%. Road and Bridge for March, $14,184.31. Current year-to-date, $2,666,381.60, for a collection rate of 95.65%. Delinquent Road and Bridge for March, $638.21. Year-to-date, $7,893.64, for a collection rate of 19.84%. Rural Fire for March, $5,211.50. Current year-to-date, $970,025.34, for a collection rate of 95.63%. Delinquent for the month of March, rural fire, $252.28. Year-to-date, $3,319.38, for a collection rate of 18.71%.
Brenda, delinquent with with businesses, with the companies that have gone south due to the oil, is that increasing, or do we have some that are?
Tank one has declared bankruptcy. NAC Services is a big one. I ran a report yesterday. $269,000 they owe us. And 1776 Energy owes us $186,000.
Are those for multiple years or?
Well, I just ran the report for 14 and 15. No, that's just for 15. 14 and 15, excuse me. I just ran it for 2 years.
And you said NAC had owed how much?
269, I think. That includes 15s.
But they just play the game where they just have enough to keep it going?
What, they have a payment agreement with John Banks
Okay.
that they've been,
Are they complying with the payment agreement?
John modified the agreement with them a little bit for the months of April and May, and then he's going to go back up to the $25,000 a month.
They are all but closed. Going by there, they've moved many of the frac tanks out. Shops completely closed. They're very little activity.
Yeah, all the stuff that was like leased, that's all been repossessed.
That's bad.
Those acid tanks, I believe, are owned by NAC, so that's what we're keeping an eye on, making sure nothing gets moved out.
This has absolutely nothing to do with your report, but the other day when the committee that's looking at the budget got a handout from Mrs. Moots, and it indicated that when the county library system was set up, that there was a specific amount of taxes set aside for that. You know, I'm just curious, did that get, you know, and you may not know, did that get rolled into just budget somewhere along the way? It did.
And as long as I've been here, there has not been a specific, it fluctuates every year based on their needs.
Well, I noticed that, like, it was 6 cents per hundred the first year, and then 4 cents per hundred after they were established, and this, that, and the other. And, you know, I admit I read every line item on there, but I've never noticed anything about the library, so I'm just curious. Okay. That's fine. No issue.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You already have my
Yeah.
report, this is just.
This is item 10 on the agenda, I believe. Discuss action regarding treasurer's report.
Do it. Oh, okay. I'll start reading mine.
Good morning.
For the month of March, beginning balance for, or ending balance, I'm sorry, is February 2016 was $58,710,804.54. Receipts for March were $2,235,771.71. Disbursements, $3,248,630.05, for an ending balance of March 2016 of $57,697,946.26. And Luana kind of talked about the differences. I called Tyler Technology as soon as I ran the report on Friday to ask what the differences were. I spent 30 minutes on the phone with Michelle, their tech support, trying to go back to what those $2 amounts were, and they couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. What had happened, the best we can figure, is business that was done in March got posted to April when it should have been posted in March. There were some off, and you didn't have a juvenile report with you, but it happened in the juvenile department also. There were some checks that were posted, or there was some activity that happened in March, but for whatever reason didn't post until April. So when you see the April report, those amounts will be included in the April, like Lauren said, it'll wash out. But we did a dollar search for that exact dollar amount, we couldn't find it, so it was a combination of things. I went back to the activity that we did April 1st, April 2nd, for anything that we posted in March, like our outside investments. We don't get the dollar amount until the first of the month for the previous month. So we write the checks and receipt the checks for March 30th. We write them in April, but we post them in March, so they'll match the statements. That's not even part of the outside investment interest. So we have no clue. And Tyler couldn't help me either.
So how would it wash? I mean, how is it gonna correct itself?
It's gonna show up in April business. It's like it's pending in April.
So March was off? I mean, April,
This is March.
but no, February was off then?
No.
Well, you said, but you had it in February, but you said it posted to,
No, I had it in April. Something we did for March got posted to April business.
I usually try to take some time and go and meet with you before I apologize, I've been really busy, I didn't have any chances. But I know these numbers are supposed to meet with each other, do they meet? Do they match?
Well, as always, her report that's system generated is the same as my report that's system generated. There are those two differences that have not been identified that we hope are going to roll and wash in April.
I can run a report from April 1st through today on my treasurer's report, and it's not showing as pending, it's included in the balances.
So they're in there?
Yes, yes.
If there was a negative balance showing in the report, will there be, simplistically a positive balance by that amount next month?
Yes. And like the $21.03 for payroll, we don't do anything with payroll other than run payroll and post it, and why something glitched and went into April business instead of March.
Computers.
Yes.
When was our last payroll and it wasn't even at the end of the month, was it?
No,
That would make sense.
no.
So these $2 amounts were not in your control?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I looked for several combinations of things that could have added to the $1,400, like the last part of the month, and there wasn't anything that I could find. So it was something that might have happened previously in the month. I don't know. And Tyler Technology couldn't help me find it either.
1,400, you said?
Yes, on the general, that first one.
Well, one of them here, they say doesn't make any sense to me. Have you got any?
Negative reports.
I don't have any further explanation because the way it appears on the reports, they are deposit issues that either weren't closed or weren't included in the last deposits as of March 31st that for some reason got included in April deposits. As Vi said, it's not one individual entry because you can't go in and search for that dollar amount, so it'd be a combination of two. She says she looked for it and she says it washes in April, but I didn't run any April reports to see if it is zeroing out or not.
I don't see how you can say it washes in April if we don't have April completed yet.
You can run a report from beginning of the month to present day, and it'll show you anything that's pending that was not, that's posted in April or is not posted correctly. It'll show us like on that last row.
What does it show that?
0 on that last line. It's not
Where
there.
did it come from?
We looked, we cannot find it. We don't, it's a combination of receipts.
If I count a dollar out here in change, I can do it in a multiple variety of ways.
Right.
And can tell that I've still got a dollar.
Right.
And you can't do that with your figures on what you've got there. You can't explain it apparently.
I cannot explain it.
Well, I mean, if you can't, the court surely can't.
did y'all manually go back and try to find it?
We
I
went
mean-
back for the last couple of days in March. Because technically, that probably would have happened then, or in the first couple of days of April, because we would have done something in April to try and post it back to March. And we looked on the posting dates, they were all posted for March 31st, or March 30th.
Are you saying in April it'll wash
Yes.
out and then June?
Well, I don't see how you can say that.
Because it's posted in April business, not in March.
How do you know if you can't find it? How do you know where it's posted?
Because it didn't show up in March, but it's showing
Just
up as
because it
activity.
didn't show up in March, it's gonna show up automatically in April.
Yes,
That would be nice, but it hadn't been working that way.
because it's posted in April.
You don't know that. You didn't find it posted in April, did you?
We didn't
When
find
you
it
looked-
posted in March.
Did you find it posted in April yet?
It's not, no.
I mean, you posted some things in April, have you not? This is April,
We've
is
done
it
some
not?
reseeding in April, yes.
Did you check all of those figures
Yes.
to see what didn't belong there
Yes.
and didn't find anything?
No, because it was done sometimes in March.
How do you know? Well, now, don't grin at me, tell me.
I'm trying to explain it to you.
I haven't heard any explanation yet.
Okay, it was
There's no sound
activity,
coming.
it's activity that we did in March, and for whatever reason got posted for April business. So when April hits, then it shows up in April business.
But you don't know what postings were like
No,
that, or...
and that's why we called Tyler Technology for them to help us look for it and why it happened that way.
I don't see how we can approve these. I haven't been voting to approve them, and I'm never going to until we get some explanation of why the money is being handled the way it's being handled. And there's no explanation that I can see. People of this county deserve better than this.
Judge Murray's,
Sir, is this a software problem?
Is it a what?
Software problem? We don't know.
I don't know what it is. I'm not much of a software expert.
I'm not either.
And I don't think anybody else frankly knows what it is. I don't hear it in the court if they do.
One thing I'm suggesting is a software problem. It seems like Tyler Technology, every time we have a problem, it always goes back to Tyler Technology, but they never have an answer for us. So I'm just wondering if the software problem is a continual problem with Tyler Technology. Wouldn't it be prudent to start looking for some other software?
Well, I'm probably not smart enough to understand all of it, but we need to look for something else different, whether it's Tyler software or whether it's new people in other positions or whatever it may be. We've got to get an explanation for this and get it straightened out. This is not a way anybody on this court would handle their personal money. And unless we start handling the money better, people ought to vote against every one of us when we come up for re-election if we dare run again. I don't, but maybe the others will. This is ridiculous. Money doesn't lie,
I agree, it's not lying. I mean, it's,
but you've got no explanation for it. Somebody's lying.
well,
The
I'm not
money
lying.
is, or somebody is, or we're not getting any explanation. I haven't heard one that means anything to me.
Well, I don't know how else to explain it, so.
Well, I don't know how to tell you.
You didn't
Explain
look,
what
you
you got.
didn't look in April at all prior to this meeting?
No. I just ran a report from April 1st on, because it's just like end-of-day journal entries, what we do, not end-of-day journal, end-of-day activity from April 1st forward. And it was what we received in that day is what showed up on those reports.
But I would think that if you say it probably happened in the last 2 weeks of March.
That would be an explanation for it, because it was something that we did in April to post back to March, like the outside investment interest. And none of the outside investment interest adds up to that 1,400. It's in the general fund, so we know it's in one fund. And even with the payroll, we don't do anything with payroll other than run the payroll packet and then update it and everything post. And it wasn't even anywhere near the end of April that we had a payroll.
Luana, are you in concurrence that this 141111 is primarily a computer problem? Software problem, whatever you want to term it.
A computer or software issue could be the issue. It could also be how things were entered in and or not closed in a cycle. As far as the outside investments and the interest earned, Via's commented that they were done in April, but they were applied back to March. The checks for those interest earned to reinvest were prepared in April, but they were dated March and posted March on the check side, on our side where we record checks. From what I looked, the receipts for all those interests were entered in March 31st business also. So I don't think it has anything to do with those unless for some reason one of those receipts did not get picked up and closed, posted, whatever, end of business activity. I did not go back and look at any of the receipts.
And I double checked with Elaine and Sylvia both and made sure they had actually closed all their business in March. Because every day at the end of the day, it's an end of day process that you have to do for to close and to post. And they both double checked and made sure everything was done and closed and there was nothing open.
Well, from my individual standpoint, as I've noted in the past, I concur with the judge. I'm not inclined to approve any of these until at least we get an auditor's report, which I think is going to be due shortly, to see where we stand. And perhaps then if it comes in clean, well, we'll take a look, or I'll take a look at it. The judge, of course, has his own opinion and decision to make on that, but until we get something to give us until I get something to show me that everything is okay, I'm a little concerned also.
I will tell you, the outside auditors are back on site this week and hoping to finish up everything.
Yeah, I saw the information yesterday.
What do they have left to finish up at this point?
They were verifying some discrepancies within the tax office. They were verifying uncollected monies from the JPs, and then they had some issues that they were verifying with the treasurer's office, is what I was told.
So as soon as I leave here, I'm going right back to them.
Well, that won't help us if we don't have information from them that says something that explains it.
Well, that's what...
You going to them.
Well, to finish answering their questions that they had. They knew I was coming into a meeting today.
So they're waiting for you to answer the question?
Well, my staff is helping them with our part, yes.
Okay, but ultimately, you're the treasurer. All right.
Well, I have a meeting here back at 2 o'clock. You're going to be there around 3 or 4, like
Yes.
And I didn't get a chance to go before this because I was really busy, but I'll go this evening.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Is there any action that anybody wants to take on item 10, discuss action regarding the treasurer's report? I can tell you, I'm not going to vote for it until we have one that explains what's going on. And we haven't had that some time. And don't have it today. Y'all can vote for whatever you want to.
Well, you know, I agree. I still have a concern, and I never can get an answer, but the comments at the bottom of the, commissioners, y'all look at the bottom of the auditor's page. On the last page every month, we got that thing, so there's been some request for some clarifications for October, November, whatever the month is. She has yet to receive it. So I don't know, I don't know what we do anymore. We just need to, like I say, Judge, get a handle on it because this is ridiculous.
I think we need to have a grand jury investigate to see if there's anything illegal going on. We get no explanation.
And to Mr. Yarder's comment, everything I've heard about Tyler from other counties that I've talked to, they use them, they praise it, they have them highly praised. They said everything works fine, and just something in Karnes County, maybe it's in the, maybe there is a hiccup in the software, I don't know, but everybody else I've talked to claims Tyler to be the leader of in that field, so I don't know.
You're not saying we're backward and technologically challenged, are you?
I'm beginning to wonder.
Somebody is.
Well, I don't know that there is such thing, and Luana can certainly answer that. Perhaps if there is such a thing as a forensic auditor to come in, we can't fix a problem we can't identify. If somebody come in and take a look at this, there's got to be a way to fix this. I mean, it's either person, garbage in where you're not entering the information correctly, or it's a machine problem, or it's a software problem. I mean, you're fairly limited, but until we identify it, it can't be fixed. We're just admiring the problem.
Okay, we can beat it to death, but we haven't solved it today. Move on then to, I guess, item 11 is where we're going to next.
Yes.
Discuss, approve, disapprove Karnes County recognizing an existing public right-of-way off of County Road 360 in Karnes County described in detail on Exhibit A in response to a dispute between La Iglesia del Señor, and that's a church from San Antonio that owns property in Karnes County, and Merrill Moy, an adjoining Karnes County landowner. And James, you were the author of this.
Yes, Judge.
So you want to lead off on it?
Sure. Do y'all have the Exhibit A in the package? You should have it. I met with Merrill Moy, and I met with Elizabeth Kopecki, and guess which one of y'all want to speak first? Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning. I'm here on behalf of the Moy family regarding the county road that's located off of County Road 360 in Precinct 3 in Gillette. Specifically, we're here this morning asking the court to recognize the county's ownership of the road, which currently provides the only means of ingress and egress to the Moy family to their property. The road has been used consistently by the Moy family for several decades now. And was conveyed to the county by Lloyd Barger in 1974. The deed to the county was a fee simple conveyance, and it was recorded in the Karnes County deed records, and the road was constructed at some point around that time frame. Recently, however, the Moy family has had some issues with the adjoining landowner locking them out, and they haven't been able, excuse me, for the last year or so, they haven't been able to access their property. So due to those issues, Carrie Ellison, actually at the Karnes County Attorney's Office, had sent a letter last September demanding removal of the gate, and then really that's kind of where we're at. So we're here this morning asking the court to recognize the county's ownership of the road and reestablish maintenance of the road.
Judge, I have met with Herb on this, and he showed me the meets and bounds. The Exhibit A shows all the paperwork that y'all got a company to designate exactly what the meets and bounds were, right?
Correct. The meets and bounds were platted by a landman and set out on a Google Earth image that's included in the packet.
And when I talked to her, basically, when I talked to you, I asked you if that was our land, since it was deeded to us, and you acknowledged that that was the county's land?
It does belong to the county, and it was deeded, as she said, in 1974.
Let me give you just brief you on, when I came in here, I think it was 2001, that road was there, and didn't have a county road number, but that road was there, and I believe it had a gate across it at that time? It had a gate across it at that time?
Yes.
Okay, in 2001. And I came to the court and let the whole court know that there was a few roads out there that had gates across it, and my guys had an issue with opening them up and getting across and locking them back up. So I put it on Commissioner's Court, and I believe that was during, Pavelik was the judge, or maybe Kendall to Pavelik. Anyways, it was one of the judges there. We put it on there, and it passed that they all had to have a cattle guard on them or remove the gates. I believe that's when a chain was put on there.
At that point, my dad had me build a cattle guard.
A cattle guard.
And we placed a cattle guard in place. Then, for whatever reason, and I don't know if it was my dad or who, or that landowner, but they stretched a chain across it. And the chain was too heavy for my dad, so I put a pipe on it. Just a single pipe on, which he was able to open and move and lock and close, you know.
Right.
And that's when, 2006, I believe, the church took the ownership of the property and they took the pipe arm off and put a double leaf gate on it. And at that time, we were actually sharing and going through. We had no problem going through in the beginning, but as time went on, we were getting, our locks were getting bypassed, and we wound up using bolt cutters. It's a Sunday afternoon, we're trying to feed cattle and get hay from one place to the other. We had no choice but to cut the chain to get the hay. And this thing is just kept going on until a year ago, last April, when I contacted them and needed to get to the field, and they had new gate, new locks, and no trespassing signs. And they refused to let me through. So that's when I went to the county attorney and we started all this research to make sure that that was a county road. And the research has come up showing that it's county property.
In 2001, guys, when I went in there, I had some guys in there, they were there with the road maintenance since the 70s. I remember in 2003, I think that was the time, I don't remember the month of the day, but there was a lot of rain and there was a lot, I don't know what inches it was, but I sent the guys in there because there was damage to that road. So I did acknowledge it as a county road. We just, because of a pipe and all that, we wouldn't go in there in and out, but it was acknowledged as a county road. It did not have a, it did not have a
Acknowledged in what way, Jay? What do you mean?
I told my guys that they could go beyond that gate, because when I came, yeah, I acknowledged it. Because when I came in here, I asked them, have y'all been maintaining that road? Yeah, they said, yeah, since the 70s. They've been in there, they don't go in there all the time, but when they bladed all the roads, they would blade 360, they would jump in there, and they would blade that one. The issue was when I came in 2001, the guy said that they were crossing those locked gates, so I came to court and I stopped them. I told them, unless it's an open road for public use, we'll still acknowledge it as a county road, but my crew will not go beyond that gate. And the other three commissioners agreed with that, so I think maybe one had an issue, I don't remember. But
Does it really have a number?
no, still doesn't have a number. And the road came to be because I guess when the uranium came in, they did a uranium pit there, and the uranium pit was right beside the original county road. So what they did, I guess the county, I don't know in the minutes, I don't know where it's at, but they pulled it and they moved it over here. And I guess that's when this deed was done. And then the meets and bounds were set, and that's when this one was created. So when I came in, yes, I acknowledged it. I just talked to the foreman out there that was there since the 70s, and I told him, did y'all ever maintain that one? Just to make sure, refresh my mind. He said, yeah, James, we maintained it all the time. It was until you came in and stopped going beyond the county, the gates on the county roads that we stopped maintaining it as much. But in 2003, we went in there, we put about 15, 18 truckloads of gravel, I'm not sure. We bladed it, we cut the road, we cut the whole road. I even directed my crew to install a culvert pipe, and there one culvert pipe in it. In the 8 years that before the unit system came in, from 2001 to 2008 or 7 years that I had control of my county roads, we went in there about 3 or 4 times, Judge. And yes, I acknowledge it as a county road. Did I ever check it? The meets and bounds on it? No, not until now. But it never had a number on it. We never designated a number to it.
But may I say something?
Sure.
Also, prior to you going to the Commissioner's Court, we used to drive right off that 119 highway, and there was a gate there on 360 that the county would open the gate, blade the road, go out and close the gate. But that was prior to y'all accepting the new regulation that wherever there's a gate, you're not going in.
That was right at 360.
Yes,
Yeah,
right
that's-
at the beginning, at 119, right off the highway.
Yeah, I got when we passed that to the court, we got cattle guards put on a bunch of roads like that.
Correct. And then Dwayne Richter came in and built fences on both sides,
Yeah.
and all of that entry, cattle guard and everything was picked up, and it's
Yeah.
open.
I remember.
Judge Lacey would like to respond.
And you're whom?
I'm Jason Jacob with the Jacob Law Firm in San Antonio, Texas. I represent the Lacey El Senor.
You represent whom?
The church, the San
Okay.
Antonio Church. And I'd like to respond.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, man.
Judge, I met with Mr. Moy with permission from Elizabeth Kopke last Friday, correct? Friday, and his sister and his mom. And Lacey has been trying to work with them, but there's an issue. This is a church campground, and this church has owned the land since 2006. Nothing's been done. There was a gate when the church bought the property. The deed of records, when the church bought the property, it doesn't demonstrate any of that. The church had no knowledge of any easement. There's been no maintenance on that road since the church has purchased the property. There was a swing gate, there was a cattle guard already. We thought Mr. Sanchez had put it up, who was the previous owner to the land. That land was replaced with a gate because there were poachers coming onto the land, and you have young children in a campground environment, and you have people shooting weapons across the church's property. That's a dangerous environment, creates a massive liability. Not only that, but Mr. Moy has a hunter that hunts on his property, which is just a little sliver. And so, needless to say, when we came there, the hunter was actually on the church's land. So, the church has a concern about it. Now, the church, of course, went through the county to determine if in fact there was a county road or not. The Karnes County Appraisal District, which we have a letter from, and which we provided to the county attorney and to Ms. Kopke, says there is no county road out there. So we have a governmental entity that says there's no county road. So of course we detrimentally rely upon that. Now, Mr. Moy, we did the neighborly thing. We've given him a key. They both have interlocking locks that's on the same chain, so when one or the other, we have cattle that's missing off of the property because of Mr. Moy or somebody cutting the locks, all of that stuff.
Have you ever seen Mr. Moy cut a lock? Have any of y'all ever?
Mr. Moy has specifically told me that he's cut the locks.
Okay.
Okay? And not only that, but Judge, the county attorney told Mr. Moy it was okay to do it. And this is what the county attorney left to a church. This is Mr. Moy, call this man. And that's how we have notice. Now, Judge, something else. If it wasn't for Ms. Kopke, I wouldn't even know about this proceeding today. We had no notice given to us about this particular thing that affects our land. So, I have grave concern. I also want to show you what's considered a road.
When I put this on the agenda, I made sure that somebody notified y'all.
And who notified us? Because literally, the only reason I know is because of her. And I've been the church's attorney for at least the last, 7 years? So, I do know of things that happen. And there's the senior pastor right there. But needless to say, we made sure to get with your clerk and get on the agenda. But, could you open that up, please? But this is not some gravel road or any of this stuff. It's a dirt road that has pots going all the way through it, that there's been no issue, that completely dead ends. And then, even if the county road, and could you pass that along? Even if the county road is a county road, it's not been surveyed. We don't know of any survey that's been done. They demonstrate a Google map and they show an easement, a right-of-way. That's it. So our contention is you've got something that literally dead ends. Mr. Moy's property does not even touch or abut that county road at all. It is by the church's good neighborly deeds that allows him to use it in the first place. So the only person whose land that actually touches or abuts is the church's property. That's it. That completely dead ends at the church's property. Mr. Moy is more than 120 feet away, his gate, from the actual county road. Now, the church is trying to do the neighborly thing, and the church has a proposal. That road is in no condition for farm equipment or anything else to go under. Do you agree at this time? You've got potholes, you've got all kinds of things that you've been out there recently. Commissioner Herbert?
I was out there yesterday and farm equipment can go down that road.
Well,
I was out there yesterday and looked at it.
Okay.
So let's don't,
I don't see, but I'm a city guy. I'm not a county person. I mean, in other words, I'm not a farmer. I don't know. But from what I'm looking at with columbines that go across that far, you know, just huge equipment, we went out there in a truck the other day to get to Mr. Moy's property, to get to where his gates are on Friday, and you're literally doing this. So I don't know. And Mr. Moy even took me back. But we did work with Mr. Moy, and I think we've come to some sort of solution about making sure that, but we have a solution that works better, that we don't have the concern about children, safety, and all of that stuff. And that's moving the county road to the abutting property lines. And that gives Mr. Moy access right here. That's Mr. Moy's property, and this is what we suggest. And since it's not identified as a county road, and it merely is an easement, I think this satisfies everybody's issue. And I think the benefit, oh, and we did talk to the engineers, the county engineers, correct, Mr. Stein, and another gentleman, Michael, and they weren't sure if it was a county road or the last time it was maintained. So we've done our due diligence. We've tried to do everything the neighborly way. So this is a whole thing. We have children, we have cattle, we have people hunting, we have poaching, we have all kinds of things going on the land that creates an ultra dangerous condition. And you have children, you have youth that go out there. It's a youth camp. It's to bring the youth of San Antonio to an environment where these troubled kids can see what it's like to have a camping environment, getting a call with nature, and all of those things. So I think it provides a great service to the community. I think the church has been very neighborly. We've worked with Mr. Moy. I've worked with Elizabeth Kopke since Elizabeth came on board, and we've tried to come up with some sort of solution. So we did a double lock on a chain. Thank you.
Judge, the bottom line is this: the church has closed off a county road. The county road belongs to the county. It is not an easement. It is a fee simple conveyance. We have talked to the church. I've called the person in charge of the church and asked him, just do something to where Mr. Moy can get in there and get to his property without a problem. This lawyer knows what the rules are. He knows that when you deal with real property, the way you deal with real property is through a title search. You can't depend on what some of us tell him. This title search is the issue and it has been taken care of. He knows that there's a title to the property. All we're asking to do is this guy act like a neighbor, and he's not doing that. He may tell you that, and that kids are up in the air, they get hurt and killed. That's foolishness. The only problem right now we're facing with is that this man here, through his client, has cut off a county road, and the gate needs to be taken down, and they need to go in there, or something, we need to do something else. I need to file charges on these folks because they are blocking a county road, and that's the bottom line here. I don't want to make things sound any worse than they are, because we tried to work through this thing for over a year, and we have piddled and piddled and piddled. The lawyers are talking all this stuff. The owner talks about this stuff. I don't care. They cut off a road that belongs to the county and put a gate across it. And bottom line, in the story. Now, they can call it whatever they want to. It walks like a duck. It quacks like a duck. It probably is a duck. And they need to do something to straighten this out. If they want to grant this guy an easement, the only way we can get rid of this property, Judge, is for the Commissioner's Court to give this man and this man title to that property, and neither of them have asked for it.
Your Honor, if
Wait. Through her.
And neither of them have asked for it.
Wait just a second. I want Mr. Moore to say whatever he wants.
I want to say first that Mr. Hancock did not tell me to cut that block off. He told me if I need to get in there to remove the gate. So I cut the chain, I dismantled the gate's hinges, and I set it aside so I could get in there. Did not damage the gate, did not damage it. The man didn't tell me to cut the lock. He said, if you need to get in there, remove the gate. The reason being, because a letter was sent to the church, a registered letter. They refused to go to the post office and get it. 30 days later, the letter came back to the county attorney's office, and I'm sitting here still trying to get to my place. And as far as guns and hunting, it's going to be in Karnes County and through Texas forever. The church themselves had 2 men run at that deer hunter with automatic rifles, ARs, charged at him. Let me make it clear, they didn't point it at him, but they aggressively approached him with rifles. So the issue of taking kids out there and camping seems like that's a long ways from Garner State Park, or a place where there's the right kind of facilities. That's going to be country, it's going to be wild from now on. We have cattle, there's going to be deer hunters. If it's not on our property, it's on the winner's property. And if it's not on winner's, go look at Radickes. They've got deer blinds. Everybody hunts. The unsafe factor through deer season is there. All I'm saying is I tried very hard to get along with them, and they told me, you're not going through there, no trespassing, we'll press charges, you'll be prosecuted, you go around. There is no go around. The go around is Mound Creek Road and trespass through somebody else's place. So the research was done, the meets and bounds are there, it's set a 40-foot road. I measured from some of the existing steel posts that are there, it measures 40 feet. If the church wants to do a survey, I would welcome them to get a survey so that they're satisfied that that road belongs to the county and the meets and bounds are correct. But the posts are there. It follows the whole description layout of that road and Google Earth. It's county property, and it's a county road. And I'm just standing here asking y'all, will y'all accept it as your property, and will you pull up the maintenance on it again? There, at the end, he's correct. Mom and Dad sold 39 acres to Lloyd Barger a year or two after he purchased or conveyed that county road over. They sold that 39 acres, which makes it joins the remaining of our property. So we do have to drive through 100 yards of it or whatever. It's an easement by necessity, and it meets the requirements to be an easement by necessity. If they want to sell us at a reasonable price, a small piece where we completely stay off their property, we will build a new entrance coming right off the county road so that we don't ever appear here again. Thank you.
Judge, if I may address. very first is there's a legal principle called estoppel. When you have a governmental entity that is already, and it's a very well-known legal principle, you already have a governmental entity, which is the county, telling us that there is no road. Obviously, we did what we needed to do. It does not show up as far as in any of the church's records as far as there being a county road. As I said, Mr. Steins himself isn't even sure if the county road is there. I do believe a survey needs to be done. I think the county needs to do the survey to ensure that the road is where it is, or that we move the easement, which this way there is no necessity, easement by necessity, but that's something for a district court to make a determination of. You can't just say, I'm going to come across your land. You have to have some sort of act to do it. And the county road, simply put, as it is today, does not meet the land of Mr. Moy whatsoever. It doesn't touch it. It abuts it by 120 feet, but it doesn't touch it. So that's a determination that a court needs to make as far as there's an easement by necessity. Right now, it's a trespass, but the church is allowing him to come onto the land. We don't want to get into a situation where we're being told we have adverse possession and now the Moys own that land, which is another judicial proceeding. So what we're saying is something needs to be determined if this in fact is a county road. The church is trying to give up options as far as to do the neighborly thing, to do the right thing. As far as what the church does with its land, that's the church's land. And as far as poachers and all of those types of things, Mr. Moy shouldn't have a hunter on the church's land. Simply put, that's not legal. It's illegal. It's poaching.
Is your property fenced off between the Moys and?
Yes.
So you define everything?
It is very defined. And the church is working with Mr. Moy's family, because he has a triangle. It's the only part of his land that has any vegetation. Everything else is just field. And he's got a deer feeder hanging right here, and it goes into a V like this. And it's not very long. And so what Mr. Moy, if in fact this is a county road, which we do want to establish that it is a county road. If it's your guys's, fine. But we want to be able to assure that that's a land and not somebody else's thing, or if that's the defined area for the county road. We need to determine that. And then secondly, give us time to put up fences so that cattle don't come up missing, that we don't have people coming in, egressing on and exiting from the land, so that we have the ingress and egress where it's defined. There's oil equipment on that. There's the uranium mine issue. So there's a lot of issues with just opening it up and saying, well, fine, we need to be able to do something so that everybody's safe. Thank you.
And we didn't have any problem. The gate is blocking a public right of way. We want it removed permanently. But we don't have a problem if they need 30 days to set up fencing before the gate is removed. If they want that, the Moys are willing to work with them.
And if I may, I'm sorry, the survey was conducted in 1974. The meets and bounds description is in the deed. Pursuant to
Who did the survey?
doesn't say in the deed who did the survey.
Then how do you know a survey was done?
To get the meets and bounds description.
You can do that sitting in your office.
Well, I can't.
Yeah, well, you should be able to. I could when I was practicing law.
Okay. Well, based on the meets and bounds description that was conveyed to the county, which is set out in the deed, I provided that meets and bounds description regardless of if it was done by a surveyor or not. And then this is in the packet, delineates where the road runs. Based on that, my landman went and then placed that on a Google Earth image, and you can see it runs exactly where Google Earth shows it. and it's exactly where the county has gone in and placed all those loads of collegiate gravel, everything that the county has done. It's exactly where the meets and bounds in the deed describes it as being.
Judge, if you look closer to that Google map, you're going to see there are delineations and variations on what it is. So all we want is the fair thing, the county to do a survey. If the county doesn't like our second idea, which is moving the road that literally doesn't do anything but meets and facilitates one person at a time, which is the church and Mr. Moy, who comes across, which he says is by an easement by necessity, though that's never been judicially recognized. There's never been a proceeding. It's a trespass, but it's one the church is allowing to happen and giving him a key to the gate for the meantime to fix this because it's the right thing to do.
If there's never been a survey, I mean, why are you saying that it's a trespass? You don't know.
Well,
if you don't have a survey, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Judge, literally, you can walk this area, and the property does not meet near that county road.
Did the church ever have the land surveyed that they acquired?
I don't know, Judge. The church bought it in 2006. And here's the survey.
Is that, my question was, did the church ever have it surveyed? Is that a survey the church had done?
The owner of the land previously gave a plat when you bought it.
But you don't know anything about it until he handed it to you.
Right.
You don't know who did it?
It's there. All the information is there.
County road's on there. Exactly where.
Who did that survey or that plan? It's just a county road. It's not a tract of land that's described.
Pollock and Sons was the survey
Okay.
company
All
that
right.
did the plat, and it's indicated on the plat as a CL-road, and its center line as, I'm assuming, as described in the deed.
Yeah.
And if I can, Judge.
Go ahead.
In '74, when this deed was executed, the court should have taken actions at that time. Agree to the deed.
But they obviously did not.
And no one can find a copy of that. At that time also, it should have been in the records that the county is accepting this for a county road and designated it with a number or a name as being a county road, and then began mainly, says Commissioner, says happened.
Did the church ever ask you to do a title search on, I'm talking to the lawyer right there.
No, Judge.
I'm looking at you.
Judge, I've recommended that the church get a survey done and by somebody from a rural area who's going to know the land. Obviously, somebody in San Antonio, they're not going to be equipped to handle it. So what I've recommended is finding somebody to survey or come
But
in.
that hadn't been done at
That
this
has
point.
not. And that's because we've been trying to work with Elizabeth Kopke and Mr. Moy to try to come up with some resolution, which we did on Friday.
You're talking about this young lady?
I'm sorry.
Betsy, that's okay.
Betsy. I've called, your secretary has never corrected me.
Well, let me make this continuation here. The deed appears to be correct.
Which deed?
The deed from '74, issuing.
Well, there's no way to tell from looking at that document whether it's correct or not.
It's filed in the clerk's office.
I understand that. I looked at it. I owned and operated the title company here for a number of years. I practiced law here for 50-something years. Believe me, I understand titles and.
Okay, and then that gives the court another question that will have to be answered. First question that needs to be answered, is this deed correct and accurate and still in force? That needs to be answered.
We don't know if it was ever enforced. It's been recorded.
It's been recorded in the
I
county's name.
dealt with a man who signed that deed a number of times, and he was he was working for the uranium mining company, not for anybody else. And everything they did was not correct. During all the time we went through the uranium mining here.
Then that's the first question that's got to be resolved before anything else can be done. If this deed is not legal, then that
No, I
answer
didn't
is
say
wrong.
legal, I said correct.
Well, correct. If it is not correct, then that's the first problem that's got to be resolved. Because this
Apparently-
is what is creating all of the questions.
Apparently, there's never been any title work done on this. Has the church ever done any?
Judge, this property was bought by Pastor Duranzo, who's deceased. He was a senior pastor several years ago, and it was done by...
It was actually purchased by the church?
Yes, it's church property.
Rather than being left to the church by
No, it
members?
was purchased by the church itself. He was the senior pastor, and the church purchased the property. They did it by a deed of assumption, I believe, which means that they stepped into the place of the person, Mr. Sanchez, who had it beforehand, paid off that note, did all of that stuff, and then took possession of the property and is duly recorded. One of the things, Judge...
Did the church ever have anybody examine the title to the property?
I believe from what Pastor Iggy Ignacio has told me, there may be a title company involved, and if so, we're going to have to find that out. That's why, Judge, when we looked at this from our law firm standpoint, and we can't find any information on it, we can't find where it's ever been approved, all of the other things, that's why we're calling it an easement, a right-of-way. That's why we don't believe that the county has ever adopted this. This is why we're in the situation that we're in, and we just don't want an adverse possession. We don't want people coming onto the land who don't belong there, and I think the county needs to determine, in fact, is this the road? Is this what the meets and bounds say? And then, of course, we're trying to come up with a position, a win-win for everybody, but if not, I think that the county needs to have a survey done to make sure that this accurately reflects where this road is. And then, by all means, the church will concede, and we've given Mr. Moy access. We're not going to take that access away. We're in negotiations with Mr. Moy as far as if he needs to purchase some of the property, a very small part. And if you look on the actual land, you'll actually notice that Mr. Moy's property, he's got a little sliver right here. And so he's using a gate that comes quite a bit over. And so we're in negotiations of, if in fact it is found to be the county road, of letting Mr. Moy purchase some of that which his property abuts, if that's in fact the case. So the church is doing the neighborly thing. The church is trying to do the right thing.
Y'all have not hired a surveyor?
No, Judge, we haven't, because we think the county has the duty to survey to determine if it's a road or not. This is a Hispanic church in San Antonio that's not a rich church. And so it's the church, and I think the county needs to determine, like I said, there's nothing, and Mr. Stein is correct, that there's nothing that demonstrates the fact that the county ever took on the road, or that it is in fact been approved by the county as a road. There's no county road marker, there's none of that. So somewhere, there's been a slip since 1974 to today. And I agree with you, Judge, that this county road needs to be defined. If in fact it is a county road, the county needs to come in and determine exactly where it is and make sure that it's in the right spot. Or there's going to be litigation over that. And there's no reason for it. It just needs to be determined. Thank you.
Judge, no.
Sure.
Okay. I've heard what the attorney has to say, and my opinion, just because, from that precinct, I was there since 2001. I did some research with the attorneys, something or more. This is the first time that I've talked to a representative of the church. But, and I understand, like he's saying, that he thinks the county needs to survey it. If everybody has a discrepancy with one of the county roads, does it mean that we have to survey all our county roads? We could be opening up a can of worms. I think if somebody wants to know where a county road is, or they own more property, and with all due respect than what they're claiming, because I've seen it in the past, they usually do a survey of their property, they find out if that's a county road. If you do a survey of, what the church does, a survey of the property, then it's going to show that it's to the edge of that county road or not. I don't see where the county should go to that expense, because I talked to the guy that was there, the foreman that was there, he said in '74, and to answer the question about it not having a county road, I asked him that too. And he said back when those roads got changed, they weren't putting county road numbers on the county roads. I don't know, I wasn't in the county back then.
Not until 911 did we have anything on county road.
And he said that that's the reason that it wasn't posted with a county road number on there. And why didn't it get it after the county dropped the ball? I agree with that. But as I got in there, I accepted it as a county road. They've been working on it since 1970 something, because I had a guy there that was working in there since 1970 something. So he said they were. I went in there, and you had said you don't know the last time it got maintained. I don't have the date, but in between 2001 and 2008, until the unit system came in, I did direct my crew to go in there about 3 or 4 times. So within that time, sir, maybe 2004, 2005, it was the last time that it got fixed or anything got done to it. But Judge, on my opinion, and I know this has to do with a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, and I'm not an attorney, I can only say that I want to recognize it as a public right of way, because it was there when I came in. I never said it wasn't a county road. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know. But I did send my guys on there to go and work on it. I wouldn't have sent them on there on something I believe that was private so many times.
Well, and in terms of the survey, although we do not have it staked, it is obviously clearly laid out in what Pollock and Sons did as a roadway. And I'm in agreement with Herb that, the county, for whatever reason, unfortunately failed to acknowledge the acceptance of it when it was deeded, and agreeing with Judge Long that, there may be some research necessary into that part of it. I agree with James. I think the thing is a county road. It needs to be open. Now, as to the suggestion of moving it, my own thought, and this is not legalistic in any way, but if it facilitates the Moys and facilitates the church and could be done with an exchange of property at no cost, quote unquote, no cost to the county, I don't have an issue with that. But I'm not familiar with the necessity deal, but I am aware that in landlocked property that it's, I think, pretty well established that the landowner has a right to cross to get into the property. So that last 100 feet, whether it's given by easement or given by necessity, doesn't matter. As to the church's comment about being poor, obviously they're not too poor if they could afford the assumption on the property. And I don't, it may have been a small amount, I don't know, I'm not faulting them. Does the church operate as a nonprofit? Does it operate as property as a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit entity, and it's a nonprofit church, and the property is a nonprofit.
Okay, so there's no county taxes derived from the property.
And just to address the one issue that you did bring up about easement by necessity, so that you understand, you can't create an easement by necessity by selling your land and then coming across somebody else's property. When the property was sold, when in fact the property was sold, and when it was split in the Moy family itself, it developed the problem. And that's not an easement by necessity. So I think that that's incorrect. I think that's an incorrect analysis, but that's for a district court to make a determination. So I think the church is trying to come up with something that's a win-win for everybody. And the church, of course, would title over the 40 inches, like what is it, 40 feet across?
It's a 3.12 acres. I'll give 4 acres if they want to make it happen. And I think everybody will be blessed by that.
And this way, it's not cutting across the church's property, and it's not creating 120 feet. What's being called an easement by necessity by Mr. Moy. It literally touches Mr. Moy's property.
Mr. Moore, do you have a comment on that?
On
the
excuse me, did you say it was 4 acres? It's 2.12 acres. The road. Yes, you're right, you're correct. I'm willing to keep all that area there just so that you have extremely access to it and the land does not get divided because of the kids. But then you have crossings on the road, kids going from one side to the other. That's kind of dangerous. I would hate to see a kid get hurt just because of it. If you agree with it, I think it might be a good idea, right?
Is that next to the theatrics?
Right, it leads right into his land. Right into his land.
You know, I think the question is, right now for the court is this a county road or not? I'm not gonna worry about what y'all do on the outside of y'all's thing, because it's not for us to put this aside. You mentioned district court, whatever. James, this is a county road in your existence, in your opinion?
That's what I was gonna ask Herb. I acknowledge it as a county road. Whatever they do afterwards, if the church wants to move the road or something, they can come back to court with us and tell us, hey, we want to do this, then that's a whole nother subject. But to do all this today, it's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
What's on the agenda is that we recognize this as a county road.
Right.
And I was there when I was there, and then a foreman of mine was there before. The surveying of your land and everything, I think maybe the church should update the survey. I'm not sure, I'm not a surveyor either, nor an attorney. But it's my decision here because, well, one decision, but I am from Precinct 3, the Commissioner of Precinct 3, and I've been there quite a while. And I'm gonna make the motion to recognize it as an existing public right-of-way. Herb, is that the correct way to do it, to not get us in any legal issues later on, with giving anybody 30 or 60 days to install any fences?
But the thing is, if they work something out, and the Commissioner's Court can, through a deed, grant the road to the church if they work something out. But it has to be through a legal document, a deed. We usually, in the past, what we've done is reserve the minerals, and y'all have in the past give adjoining landowners their property back in the form of a deed, but it has to be signed by all the commissioners.
They're not adjoining,
But that's,
she's at the end of it.
but that's down the road. The only thing that we have at this time is this, can we have it acknowledged as a county road? And we can deal with that gate issue and everything that way, and that's the reason put on here, in hopes that we can get these folks together and they can work something out. That's what we're hoping.
I think, I acknowledge that,
Judge,
it's a county road.
If I may, what I think we need some time to be able to do a survey to determine if it is. I would just ask for 30 days, be it put back onto the agenda. We've already worked with Mr. Moy, so he's got his access to his property. The church is shutting him out at this time, so that all these parties can get together, see if this works for Mr. Moy, doing the necessary legal documents, doing a survey to see if that in fact is the county road, and then coming back to the Commissioner's Court in 30 days and saying, okay, you asked for a survey, we have a survey. We've worked out something with Mr. Moy. We would like to exchange the property that's in the middle for this property over here, and then determine if in fact that's what the county would like to do. But like I said, at this time, that county road only benefits 2 people, 2 families.
Judge, the property does not belong to Mr. Malloy, that we're...
Mr. Moy, not Malloy. The lawyer doesn't know what we're saying. There's a man named Malloy here, and when you say the wrong name, we're not talking about
I
him.
apologize. I do really apologize. The only thing, the road is a county road right now. The county can convey it to the church if the Commissioner's Court makes a decision to do that and trade some property to Mr. Malloy. They can do all of those things, but the property don't belong to Mr. Malloy. I got it right.
Wayne might be a puddle in his water.
Yes,
Wait, just a second.
I just say we go back to where we just determined that it is a county road, and if y'all accept the maintenance. This deal of conveying that road and making a new road over here, that's an astronomical expense for what? And
It's fairly brushy through there where you would make any additional road or replacement road and.
Your Honor, the tank that the church has backs up into that fence and into the attics, and you'd have to build a bridge.
Mr. Moy, how would you deal with the, here I am, sorry, how would you deal with the 100+ feet that you're short of getting into your property from the?
That's another total issue away from the road. But we are willing to, we told them Friday when we met out there, it's a small pie. It's about 50, maybe 60 feet wide, 120 feet, and it's a pie. If they'll give us a lump sum price of what they want, and it's reasonable, we'll go ahead and pay for it, which means we got to bring a dozer in, bulldoze out a bunch of trees, and make a new entry, or just continue to use the easement we've been having if we can't come to an agreement. But we're willing to do that so that we're entering into our property directly off that county road, not entering in the church's property. But the road does go through the church's property. They've got property on both sides. But it's pretty well grown up. It's a rough area to even think about camping.
And the road was there when the church acquired their property, was it not?
Oh, yes, sir.
At the same place it is now?
Yes, sir. And we've been traveling that road since the mining of uranium when they moved the other one over, and then since the 70s, and it's had, a couple of different landowners, and we've never had a problem with anybody else. It started here in the last few years.
If you bought this sliver of property you're mentioning, would that affect the county's need to accept this as a county road? Or are you saying that would give you another way in? The maps are not real definitive on a lot of these. It's pretty difficult to see. Judge went out there, so he's got a better idea, certainly, than I do, and James knows the property, but I don't know it. So if you were able to buy the portion of property that you're speaking of from the church, would that give you a way in without the necessity of this road?
No, sir. That road is 3,318 feet long.
Okay.
And at the very end of it is where our property comes
Is that
to
where you're talking about buying the property?
Yes, that's little, so that where the road ends, right at the end of the road, we take a right into our property.
I'm with James. Y'all can do the fighting on this later, but I think the county needs to acknowledge it. Or if we just acknowledge that this is a county road and accept it as that, is that what we need to do? I think
That's all it really. And then if they want to work something out.
They can do their fighting in the hallway.
This is the only thing. I would like to have on the record that, obviously, there's some time to be able to, in fact, if you guys do recognize it, which I know you're going to vote for, but giving us time to remove whatever, because, even Mr. Moy coming across, he has access, but we need time to build fences. If fences need to be built, we need that type of things. Right now, there can't be a criminal charge or anything else, which has been threatened and alluded to, because the fact is the county has never recognized the road. So with that being said, there then becomes a class, I can't remember if it's an A or a B misdemeanor of blocking a county road. And so that's why the church went out and did all of the stuff that it did, went to the appraisal district, and said, okay, is there a county road or is there not a county road? And so that's where we're at. But we need time to be able to build fences, because if public are going to come on, then we need time to be able to put fences in place and to make sure that people don't come onto the church's property. Cattle, which have already gotten loose, cattle has already been missing from this gate issue, and literally now there's no cattle on the church's property. So there's cattle somewhere here. And to be quite frank, the church isn't there every day, obviously. So we would like to have some time to be able to do those necessary things.
What do you think, you need 30 days, 60 days?
60 days, do
Herb.
a survey.
How do we address this?
Judge, the only thing that I'm asking is that y'all recognize this as a county road. If you want to give them 30 days or 45 days to work it out or do whatever, that's fine, but it's not going to make any difference. The recognition is the only thing we can do.
That's all.
And we don't have to do anything other than that at this point.
Well, I was going to say.
And if you don't remove the gate within a reasonable time, then we'll have to deal with it. So
The church, it would be their option to fence the road off, but it would not be a necessity from the county standpoint. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Still, let's get this thing over with. Let's go forward with it.
Gentlemen, if I can, just one more thing. I still think a survey needs to be done to make sure that this, in fact, is the road. There is not a survey. I disagree with the fact that there's a survey done, and the church will do the survey, but we need time to do the survey. We want to make sure that it is, in fact, the county's property. And Judge, if you look, you see the meets and bounds. Somebody needs to go there and make sure that that is actually the county road. If it's the church's expense or the county's expense, it needs to be done. If the church is going to, if in fact it's going to be recognized. In fact, I'm trying to save the county money, because if it's wrong, then what winds up happening? Then you guys have to maintain another area? So don't you think that the survey needs to be done? So in fact, we make sure that whatever's going to be clipped, whatever's going to be, you're talking about rights of way where, the shrubs are going to be cut and all of that. That's an expense. That means you have manpower that's going to be expended on it to put this thing back into order so that it can even be a county road. You've been out there, you realize that the thing is just dirt with shrubs. That's all it is. There's no gravel, no anything. It's just dirt and shrubs. The only gravel is that area where the oil company came.
Gravel doesn't make a road.
No, I agree, sir.
Well, we just hashing stuff that we don't need to hash, I think. Her exactly what did you say is?
Just recognize it
as a county road.
Yes, that's all.
And that's the existing roadway.
As it is.
It recognized the existing roadway as a county road.
That's correct.
The center line of the existing roadway is the center line of a county road.
Yes. That the county owns in fee at this time.
Herb, we need to, my motion's gonna stand, but I wanna make it transparent to the public. What road are we talking about? As of right now, it doesn't have a number, so what are we gonna call this road to know that that's the road that we're talking about? So if somebody else comes up, what did y'all vote on? Y'all voted on the existing road. What existing road? So how are we? Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Did we attach Exhibit A to the motion? Everything that's in Exhibit A, the meets and bounds?
Well, Judge, I think the only thing that you can recognize is the meets and bounds at this purpose, at this time. It's got to be determined by the meets and bounds, the legal document that's before you. I don't think you can say a Google map determines what the meets and bounds of this road is.
Well, you can say the center line of the existing road.
But what if the existing road is wrong?
Let me clarify that slightly. The county owns, or should own, what is described in this deed, meets and bounds. That is...
But that may or may not be all that's involved in this.
Well, and it may or may not match what's on Google
That's
Earth.
right.
Okay, so...
And I suspect it will not.
What Herb is saying, legally, the only thing, again, from an engineer and verification, I'm not a lawyer, but from an engineer, the only thing the court can agree to today is that we own this property as described here, and it is for county road purposes. With that said, then the church can determine if they want to fence their property or not. typically, when that occurs, when a property owner wants to put up a fence along the county road, he surveys it to make sure his fence line is the property line. Okay, so I think the actions taken today by the court would be as simple as Commissioner Rosales is saying, is the county acknowledges this to be a legal county road as designated in attachment A. Then I don't have a personal problem with allowing 60 days for them to determine the property lines and to put up fence, but at the end of that 60 days, the gate comes down and the property is open to the public.
Y'all are all nodding and
But the only option y'all have right now is to acknowledge this as a county road. Anything else needs to be put on a future
well,
agenda.
you're with this gentleman, or y'all, is he
Yes.
speaking for you?
Yes. Speaking for me, can I speak out of my heart? If what we have a problem is just a piece of property, would it be okay if you all agree, just to, we don't know exactly where it's at, but we know where a line is, which is divide neighbors. If I can actually give you all what you need to create, and I did it, whatever you guys need me to do, just so that the property for the church does not get split in half, because it will just turn around everything, the reason why we bought it. Now we have two pieces of property that nothing can be done, perfectly like we had in mind, because now we have a road that we found out that's a road in the middle. I'm willing to give the piece of land. You guys said that we're gonna actually go there and maintain it, so maintain this, maintain that. Does it really matter? And everybody's a win situation?
Again, one clarification. Mr. Reynolds correctly stated it without an explanation. The exchange of right-of-way should be at no cost to the county.
Correct.
Including the cost of the roadway.
Yes.
There is no roadway on any future right-of-way. Therefore, if I were to make the recommendation to the court at that time, it would be that there was a new road in that new right-of-way, to where there was zero cost to the county to acknowledge the exchange of the current right-of-way, which is in Exhibit A, with the new right-of-way that would be along the property or wherever they chose to provide it. But as mentioned, that would be at a new.
You're talking about new construction.
That's correct.
Yeah. Back when I was running the roads in those years, somebody, I think there was a couple of people that came to me, they wanted to give us one of the private roads, and so we could maintain it. I got the county roads, it was either A, B, and C, dirt, gravel, or paved. That's the way I acknowledge my roads.
Right.
I told the person, or the people that came, they go, hey man, I go, we're not going to take that road, it's going to be the county's expense, 100%. You need culverts there, you need to put gravel. I told them, put a good base material, and then put base 9 inches of fluff, knock it down to 6 inches, put your culverts, as needed. That's the only way that I said that I would accept the county road. It had to be a county road and fixed up to where it was going to be zero cost to the county. I would imagine that right now we're acknowledging this description here. But if they decide, or the church decides that they want to do a county road later, and you can come back and meet with us, and we can do whatever we have to report. But that road or that easement or whatever it's going to be, it has to meet county road requirements. I don't know what Dale's going to place them on now, but I used to place them on like I described.
That's exactly what I was getting to, but I wanted to make sure that everyone understood, without any mistakes, that it's not just simply a transfer of deeds and right-of-way. It would be absolutely zero cost to the court.
It would be similar to a subdivision ceding their roads to the city, and they have to meet all this stuff. And I understand that, and I certainly agree with the pastor in terms of splitting the property in two. I would hope that something could be worked out that was amenable on that sense, part of it, because a place that is divided in two by a roadway certainly has less value most of the time, and it's a pain in the tail to have to deal with. Understand that, and I'm in sympathy with you on that. However, I think as we started out, all we can do today is acknowledge it as a public roadway set up and with a reference to the Exhibit A, and then allow the Moys and the church to do whatever accommodation they need, and if they have something to bring back to us at that time, bring it back to us if they want to. If they come up with property trade of some sort or the other, as far as the county goes, we could approve it at that time, based on what Dale said.
But definitely today, if we could put 60 days on the removal of the gate, that 60 days from today, the gate's removed, so that the county then could go in there. And the only thing about the property being split, I feel sorry for them too. But it's my understanding on the survey plot, it showed that road going through there when they purchased the property, so it wasn't like it was something new. But I understand what you're saying, and I agree, it's sad when your property is cut in half, but it can't be helped, not at this point.
Well, the only way it could not be cut in half, and I asked her this, and it would not be incumbent on the church to fence it, if that would be for their edification. They could still leave it open. The county can maintain the roadway with the property open. You do not have to have a fenced roadway. So that would be, for your benefit, so to speak. And unfortunately, it benefits one and detracts from the other. But all we can do today is just acknowledge the thing and perhaps put something. Herb, you got something?
No, nothing, that's just what I don't know what else you can do.
We've got a motion.
Gentlemen, my only problem is that your Exhibit A has a Google map, it has all of these other things that you're trying to recognize. I honestly think the only thing that can be recognized is the meets and bounds under the deed, which is what Mr. Stein is saying as well.
Exactly.
So your Exhibit A needs to be, the only thing is that deed.
Well, I'll include that in my motion to recognize the meets and bounds of the paperwork that we have in Exhibit A, which I believe was a county road when I started here.
Might specify the day that deed was recorded.
1974? Correct. I don't know the exact.
Volume 429, page 706.
24th day of January 1974.
705 is the first page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And the motion will include those meets and bounds. And then if y'all want, because I do understand about land being split, some of mine is like that too. It is a pain in the butt, but that's something that y'all are going to deal with afterwards. We're just going to recognize this right now. Once you go ahead and update your survey, if there's any difference in our meets and bounds, we'll come back to the Commissioner's Court and we can deal with it then.
And would we go through you, Commissioner Rosales?
You can come to the court, talk to the judge, or you can talk to one of the commissioners, and of course, we're going to bring it back to the whole Commissioner's Court. So we'll place it back on the agenda, because anything discussed about this property, it's in my precinct, but I would like it discussed all to court. Absolutely. What did you say?
Did you include 60 days?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, including 60 days
Thank you, gentlemen.
to take down the gate, but in 60 days, the gate comes down.
That's like
He had already said.
60 days starting from tomorrow morning.
May I ask you this? He's gonna put 60 days on this.
Not 60.
This is just all we can ask you to do is just recognize it.
Yeah.
And because if you recognize the gate as having some degree of legitimacy, then I'm gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And I've contended all along, the gate is not supposed to be there because it's a county road.
So do you have any livestock out there that could be in danger?
There's horses, there's still horses, there's a mule.
Is there a cattle, is there a cattle guard across there?
There is a cattle guard.
But since there's not fencing, that's still endangering the public, so what do we do here?
I don't have any problem if they work out something to have 60 days on it. But if you
But
put
you
it
don't want
in,
to put it through court.
that's right,
They can deal with it.
that's right.
But what it does for us is it creates a criminal liability. If you in fact don't give us time, then it can be filed against us charges because then we have an obstruction of a county road.
And that is true. If we don't acknowledge that
Which has
we're
already
letting them
been
keep
threatened.
that, we can come back and slap them and, maybe not slap, but, say that they're doing something illegal.
There's nothing right now that
Not
would prevent,
literally slap.
there's nothing that would prevent us from filing the charges now. But we've not done that because we've been trying to work it out. And it has just taken so long to do that. There's no question if we all get together and sit down, I think that they can work out something that's amenable to everybody there. It sounds like the pastor is talking about doing some things that'll make a difference, but we can't, what I'm trying to do is get everybody together. I've been talking on the phone to these folks, and it's like talking to that wall. And all I want is something to happen to get this thing taken care of.
I'm to the point this way. It's a county road or not.
That's it.
Whatever happens after we declare it a county road, to me, it's not a county problem.
That's it.
I mean, it's not a problem. I mean, either you pin your cattle, horses up, do something. I don't care. But to me, the question before the court is, and we're not a district court, it's a county court. We are here to decide if this is a county road or not. We have a deed that says meets and bounds, 1974, whatever. We can go off of this deed and go on about our business. We're going to vote or not.
Respectfully, I believe that they should have some time, because if we tell them it's a county road right now, that means right now somebody takes the gate off. But they have no time for their livestock.
I'm the one that has to sign the complaint.
Excuse me?
I'm the one that has to sign the complaint. I'm not gonna sign a complaint.
If he hadn't signed it in a year, he ain't gonna
I
sign
ain't
it
gonna
in
sign
60
it in
days.
30 days.
But the cow guard can remain in place, so their horses won't get out on the road. And they do have a means of closing them on the back 39 acres and closing 2 other gates. And their horses will be way...
Y'all do have a means of containing them? I'm concerned for the public, because even though it's a cattle guard, the public has access. If somebody goes out there and hits a horse, we're here and we know about it, that's a problem to me. That's a liability on Commissioner's Court that I don't want to be honest. So, do y'all have, you're asking on a public, an area there where
If
you
we
can-
close
I'm
it,
sorry, Commissioner.
So
where y'all can
if we
contain-
close it, then he can get in, because right now, as we speak, that's the way he's going. So he's gonna open the door to get inside, horse goes out, what do we do now? Whose fault is it?
No, we'll close the gates. I know
How
what you're
can you
saying.
prove that the horse will not go out the minute you go outside? There's no cattle guard there. On that gate, there's no cattle guard.
So in other words, where you can contain this livestock is the area that he has to go through to get to his property.
For now, until we can do whatever we have to do. We have to have time.
Yes, sir.
Say whatever you want to say, let's get this over with.
I just like to.
You don't have a horse in this race.
Actually, yes, I do. I
You've got a
actually do.
place like that you're.
Sir, I have a gate that I go through every day, at least once a day. What I'm asking the Commissioner's Court is take a boat. I mean, all you're trying to do, it's just a county road. Whatever, all this other stuff is icing on the cake.
We've got a motion, second,
Yes, yes, Judge.
to
There's a
just
motion.
declare this a county road.
Are you gonna pull back your 60 days, or are you gonna leave?
Well, now that I know that irregardless however y'all are gonna do it, now that I do know that y'all have a containment area for this livestock, I'll pull back the 60 days and then y'all deal with that, because then that's not a liability to the county, because y'all do have an area where to contain it. So my motion stands without the 60 days.
Second.
Any other discussion, Pete?
Vote.
I want to vote.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Please work out an accommodation.
Yes, sir.
Don't come back.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Thank you.
And Pastor, the best luck to the church. We hold no hard
I don't
feelings.
think this
And
is.
if there's anything the county can do to
I
help,
think it's gonna be a problem,
we're cheap, but we'll do what we can.
but I may be wrong, but y'all should be able to.
Thank you, Mr.
But
Moore.
it's something that needs to be worked out.
Dale, what are your old highway department hands?
Yes, to the church.
Mr. Stoughton, thank you. Mrs. Stoughton.
Thank y'all.
How do you deal with an open range situation? put a sign up.
Well, that's what I was just asking. He was saying that it's not necessarily required. We've got cattle guards on other county roads around also with no signs up, but
You go out to West Texas, and there you cross the cattle guard, it says open range, wandering livestock.
right. And I don't have a problem with putting
Okay, I'm
those
trying
up. I
to
think
follow
it makes
this.
sense to eliminate the liability that you talk about. There really isn't anything good. I think Texas has got its own range of law, but I think it only benefits the public to have.
I want to make sure that it's a public hearing. When you had cattle guards put up there, she probably needed more security.
She's got that middle file.
Don't leave yet, don't leave yet.
Let's get it through. Let's have order. If you want to talk, go out in the hall. We're going to item 12 on the agenda. Discuss, approve, disapprove election services agreement with the city of Kennedy, Runge, ISD, Falls City, and Karnes County to perform duties related to May 7th, 2016 general election. If approved, authorize agreement to be signed by Judge Walter R. Long Jr. on behalf of Karnes County, and the author is Susie Young, our voting lady.
I left all the contracts right there. There's several copies that have to be signed, so each political subdivision as well as the county can have an original signature on those. So,
Herb, you've blessed these before.
Let me look at them, Judge. I think I have in
Thank you,
fact. There should be an initial on the bottom of them if I've looked at them.
I don't see them.
I'll be glad to look at them.
I did see some initials. I wasn't sure, and I had to ask a few people, and like I said, I want to protect the interest of the county because that equipment's very expensive that we're going to be taking out.
I'll be glad to look at them. Can I look at them?
Sure.
I need just a little bit of time to do it.
Are these initials you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so they have all been signed.
When is
Is there a deadline to get those done?
They need to be done as soon as possible because, like I say, these were sent out back in February, and the last one was delivered about a week after, while Karen was still here after I got here, so.
Why don't we pass on this, let Herb look at it and go on to the other stuff and come back to the agenda?
Susie, do these contracts require the entities to prepay expected expenses?
I've been reading the contracts, and in these contracts, there is a request for a deposit. So Karen did tell me that no deposits at this time had been made. That's one of the things that I'm going to meet with them about. I believe it's 75% on the contracts that I've looked at. And also, I guess I have a question for you. Has anybody in the past ever filed those contracts with your office or the treasurer's? Okay, those are required by statute to be filed with the auditor and or treasurer's office.
Okay. I've
So,
never received them.
if you will let me know when you want those, in the past, in my former county, I always filed those at the time of payment. And I will follow up with payment because I like to get paid. So,
Well, and if we can get them to prepay us, it helps us pay the election workers, et cetera, rather than using county funds because they tend to take 90, 120 days to get us payment.
I've been there. And I'm still trying to get in touch with the Democratic chair because I am aware of the fact that they have not made the payment yet. So, and I know that the Republican chair has already requested the estimated amount for the revenue. So.
Democrats are poor and Republicans are rich.
Well, I've still owed money from my previous county's Democratic chair. So.
Hillary ain't gonna be on the ballot, no way.
Okay, so I'll just come back. Thanks.
We're on to 13. To discuss, approve, disapprove purchasing 3 phones for road and bridge staff assistant, road and bridge administrator, and 2 assistant road and bridge administrator, and 2 foremen are the 3. Cost of these 3 phones will be $55.20 a month per phone and will come from line item 200-680-4400 utility/phone. These are necessary to privately communicate with each staff member's office Dale's time.
Yeah, currently there are no county phones there in Road and Bridge. Several years ago, radios were placed in all of the county trucks where we can communicate easily. I know with the cell phones nowadays, there's no one provider that is 100% anywhere. And so the general communication among the office is necessary with the radios. However, there are certain times where communications need to be made with the supervisors that is not necessarily good to be broadcasting over open radios. So I'm requesting these 3 phones for those 3 individuals.
Is there a cost to purchase the phone?
The phone is free.
No, I think the sheriff's office has got the contract, and he was saying that it's basically open to any numbers, and it's just a monthly fee per phone.
Do you have a line item this is coming out of?
Yes, that 680, 400 utilities and phone. This year, I think there is adequate money there this year in that line item. Next year, in the budget process, we've already increased that by the $1,500 for an annual expense. So
No, we have not.
Requested it.
well, okay.
You've already requested it and we've gone
We're
over.
in the process.
Well, there's a lot of process that we heard that we haven't approved and that's not going to be approved. And I'm not saying this is one of them, but.
You're correct. It's in the process of being modified for next year.
I don't have any issue with your need of the phones. I have more question for Robert. On the phone system that y'all are on, and I only know my own stuff, and I have a front load that, I pay $200 round figures for unlimited service, and then $15 for each additional phone. And is there no front load? Is that the reason that $55 is that much higher?
It's a pooling plan for the entire county. It's based on a government contract out of Austin, a state contract. And so we graciously were asked, the state contract, if we could piggyback onto them. That would significantly lower the cost. So they give a 300 minutes to every phone the county has, and it goes into a pool. If you use 10 and I use 300 or 320, your minutes come to me. So it never costs the county anything but a flat fee of that $55.20. And that's it, because that's unlimited data, unlimited text, unlimited nights and weekends, and all you do is pay a flat fee under that state contract.
Well, there's no use to reinvent that wheel today. I move we.
And that's the other thing you mentioned, the weekends.
And the phones are free, Judge, to answer your question. Under the state contract, it costs the county nothing.
What kind of phones do they?
It's an iPhone 5 currently, and then they upgrade that every year, but it's iPhone.
So that is, then the cost is significantly less if they give you a free iPhone.
Yes.
Because I paid for the contract.
And here the last several weeks with the storms and everything we've had, there have been some trees come down on county right of way, and the sheriff's office has tried getting hold of personnel in the office, and I've gotten the word back. There's been 2 or 3 and 4 phone calls before we get a response. With these 3 phones, there won't be any more of that.
So then are you going to have issues
If you
with...
got one of these phones, you better answer it, no matter what time of the day it is.
So are you going to have issues with other members of your crew when the foremen try to contact them and they don't answer, and then...
Well, that's something different. As a employee that we will need to be looking at, all the road hands are to be on call. We have home phone numbers. They need to be answering those phones also when called. It's a little different with the supervisors.
Well, I just, from previous experience, I think this is going to open a can of worms for a lot of other departments to say that we need to provide them cell phones, et cetera, for contact purposes. I mean, you'll have EMS saying that, which again is a emergency crew. So just be real careful.
Give them unlimited data, you have no idea what they're gonna be doing with it all day.
But I'm assuming you get phone bills every month on it.
We audit the usage, I do, and I go through Luana, we audit the actual usage of it. On our air cards and on our phones, if we see a spike in someone, we go and do a manual search and find out what they're doing, so. Absolutely, so that, just to add a little thing, I'm not trying to tell Dale what to do, but we have a cell phone policy, that's a county-wide policy, so if the court grants him the phones, he's gonna have to sign the cell phone policy and the social media policy, that people won't be using data, as she said, illegally or putting things on Facebook and all these other things, and that they can only use it for county use only, no personal phone calls.
Is your well, we have another discussion another day, because I got questions about your cell phone policy.
Okay, it's a state drafted policy. I brought it from the Attorney General, is the one that drafted that for my
I agree with
agency.
that, but just the procedure where people use their phones.
Okay, that's fine, we can have a discussion.
Move we accept the phone today.
Second.
Discussion.
You want him to have those employees sign the same county policy all the other employees are signing?
Time tight.
Okay.
Dale, I know where you're coming from, and I know that they need them, and I don't have a problem with it. The only problem I do have is, like Luana said, it's gonna open up a can of worms. Do any of the deputies have phones paid by the county?
To answer your question, EMS all has them, all the sheriff's department has them, the people that are on call,
They do have, they're paid by the county.
yes. And the only staff members of ours that have them are the ones that are on call. We have a cook, we have a nurse, we have those people that are on call, and those people have the phones. Other than that,
But you don't have that?
no regular office staff does not have them or anybody else.
Okay, so you don't have to have it to everybody, just like Road and Bridge doesn't have to have it to everybody,
No, the regular.
as of right now.
The regular people do not have them. Ones that are on call that are essential do have them.
Robert, I thought Sharon Chesser had one.
She has one that they use for an office deal, yes, so they don't have to call the dispatch, but yes. But the rest of the people, I'm talking about your secretaries, everybody else, nobody has phones.
Well, when y'all get to the jail, that phone will be given up.
We can, yes, as long as we do that.
It should be in the dispatch.
Right. Your guy in here, the veterans guy has a phone, and so there's a whole bunch of them. Yes. Luana has a phone?
Luana seeks to relinquish that phone, which before you order any phones, I want to turn mine into Road and Bridge.
Can we maybe get a copy of who's all got phones, so we know?
Absolutely, she has the copy.
By department.
It's
By
itemized
department.
on the bill.
And then EMS has phones in the units. Dennis may have one as the supervisor, but each EMS employee does not have phones.
What we've done is you can label iPhones by according to who they're issued to. So the bill is itemized by the person who has the phone. So all you gotta do is get a copy of the bill from the water, she can get up to you.
Yeah.
Actually, the bill itself doesn't.
I have a program through the state contract where I go in there and change the names and issue it to whoever it is.
We need to hire you as technology person. Get one. Sorry. Chief Deputy. Where are we? Ready to vote, I guess?
Made and seconded.
Three phone.
All three.
So, Dale, why would you not be wanting one as the administrator or the engineer of the department? Why would you?
Well, I've got my own. Now, in past jobs, they have compensated me for mine rather than carrying two. That's an option if you want. You know, and likewise with the others, if, you know, I know they've all got personal phones. You know, if we want to pick a number and compensate them for a portion of their fee and make that their.
But then that opens up to where we can pick up their phones if something happens. We pick up their private, they can pick up their private phones.
Yeah, I think we need to.
Well, I tell you what's more of a benefit to the county than the actual phone is the texting, because like we said, we have one here at the office and one at dispatch, because if you get a deputy out and he goes to this young lady's house to serve papers and the address is wrong, they can send a text straight to the office. The office can correct it, and it saves so much productivity over a month. It's just unbelievable. So the texting is more important than the actual making a phone call. So you can get a deputy to do that. Also our dispatch, because we have all our telephones being tied up by deputies calling in all the time. They can send a simple text, answer a question like a road bridge employee could do, and it's over with. You go back to their job, and it saves so much productivity. So when we all talk about phones, it's more the data part of the texting part of it that's actually a benefit to the county employees. And that's why I'm saying, that's why we have unlimited texting. If you look at our texting, it's off the wall, but it saves so much of productivity time.
Plus, that's an open record item too.
Yes, and it also, it gives the employee a opportunity to get their job and answer right there, instead of having to call from phone to phone to phone, you know. So that's what's the real benefit to the county, is actually the texting part, not the phone. Because our phone minutes are way down. If you look at the overall bill, the phone minutes themselves are way down. It's the texting that we benefit by.
Any other discussion?
You might want to consider at some point getting the county phone yourself, just a moment.
I have no problem with using mine.
You know,
Yes, the commissioners can also text a road administrator or engineer or whoever. That's another thing, that all y'all commissioners text me and the sheriff all the time. Y'all can do that easy, but yeah, I would say, Bill, you should not be using your personal phone, because the law changed, and that's another reason why a lot of counties have phones, because if you start using your personal phone for government use, it becomes subject to open records. And we get those requested all the time. That's the reason the court adopted that 2.5 years ago for the counties to have these phones, is because of the open records law changed in 2013. And the U.S. commissioner shouldn't be using your personal phone either, because they can grab those also. So that was the main reason, and that's the reason we spend $5,000 a month on cell phones in this county. But if we weren't attached on to the state contract, it would average about $9,000 to $12,000 a month. So we're getting it at a 50% savings going through that state contract. So it seems like a lot, but it's not really. If you look at your own plan, what it costs, $200 to $250 for each one of your own plans, $55 is cheap. It certainly is.
well,
So.
especially when you put the phones in it. If you're getting an iPhone, I'd say that's...
Yes, and those iPhones are $200 to $600, depending on what you get. So, but anyway, to answer your question, the texting and the open records request is what will get you in trouble. I mean, the actual phones.
You make your decision. Make me a difference.
I've had this phone for the last 4 jobs. I've gone through open records requests for other issues. It's not anything I'm
Well,
really
it doesn't bother
concerned
me if
with.
it don't bother you.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Court, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
You'll throw us off there.
Everybody's already
Everybody's really like examples.
At 12 o'clock? All of us are supposed to go.
Yes, that you.
It's not on the agenda.
Well, James and I didn't want to make a decision. I asked you Friday, and you said, yeah, we'll go down.
Well, I guess I thought it'd be through, so if we're supposed to be there, well, we need to adjourn, not adjourn, but recess and go down to the jail, new
Well,
jail.
wasn't on the agenda. On the agenda.
I suppose, because we didn't put it on.
But it's not giving,
Court said we could recess, and as commissioners, we could go down there, and we didn't have.
But you can't make a
you
decision.
can't, yeah.
You can't make a
We have a
decision.
walking forum then.
Exactly.
You have a quorum. If you're talking about everybody going there, you have a quorum. You can't make a decision anyway on that.
If we were to recess without any decisions being made, that still wouldn't be, that wouldn't be correct?
2 of us are not going.
You know, let's make that 3.
Okay, 3 of us are not going, you 2 are
Can me and
there.
Pete walk over there? Can we bring back any information at the end, like we sometimes bring up different?
It's not on the agenda for discussion.
It would be strictly a conversation.
Yeah.
You two go, we'll stay and do the real business.
Did we take care of you?
He's got another item.
I've got one additional item.
Let's take care of him so he can get on and do some work for us.
Unless Judge, you think we can do it real quick?
Yeah.
In
I
a
hope
few
so.
minutes, maybe we can do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but y'all still can't come back and make a decision.
Okay.
It's not on the agenda.
We just,
Do one?
If they go to and come back with information about the jail swell, the court can't make a decision because there's nothing on the agenda.
That's right. You sure got it right.
Thank you.
Not only is she a bean counter, she's a lawyer too.
No, she's not a lawyer.
We don't have to put it on the agenda for it to
I've
go
just
down.
been here for a long time.
Y'all can go and we'll adjourn. We're gonna get through with this next item.
all right.
Discuss, approve, disapprove payment to contractor within 2 weeks of receiving the approved invoice. Excuse me. This payment would be for road contracts that have an approved, accepted bid amount for total work up to date.
Looking at the past history of the road contracts here, I know that Nate Smith has been responsible for the administration of those contracts. As I mentioned earlier on County Road 182, I just got February's invoice. And it's the first day
From Nate Smith, you
from
mean?
Nate Smith. That's costing the contractor. That's gonna go in his next bid that he bids with the county.
So you're saying that you should have contractors on occasion should be paid out of cycle?
That's what I'm asking now. I understand that this may be a Naismith problem. Okay, because in the future I'll be reviewing contracts and we will be working on it in a timely fashion. However, even at that, it may require under certain circumstances an out-of-cycle payment. Now, talking with Lawana earlier, she's saying that they have payments every week. Okay, and so that may resolve this issue. But I know one thing in bidding contracts, timely payment is critical to these road contractors. Okay?
But
And I
timely
have-
submission of invoices is critical to timely payment.
Exactly. And that's why I said, I mentioned in here, receiving the approved invoices. Okay, if the contractor doesn't provide the documentation as required in the contract, I can't review it and I can't authorize payment. Okay, so that's a guarantee that he will get paid by the third week of every month. It's just upon receipt and acceptance of a completed invoice, I'm just asking permission to have an out-of-cycle if necessary.
My opinion down on this is these contractors, they bid with the counties because they bid with them before. They know the process of the county and everything. And my opinion on it, I don't think we should cater to any of these contracts. I say we keep it the same way as it is. They bid with the county, they know our process. If they want to know the process, they can ask before they bid. And I mean, most of these people, they bid with the county because they've done it before. That's only my opinion.
Well, it would be different, but we do pay bills twice a
Right.
month. So they've got, and we have an established schedule of when they have to be in. And Local Government Code 113.901C states that commissioners, all claims must be approved by the Commissioners Court in open court.
So it'll be up to Mr. Stein to tell them what documentation he needs to approve their bills.
No, it'll be in the contract.
Well, and it also is up
There'll
to
be no
the
statement in the
contractor
contract on
to
payments
submit
either.
their bills in a timely manner.
They understand that.
Correct. Okay, I just wanted to bring it up to see if it would be something we could work with.
That's only my thing. I don't know about, you know.
And it just, let's not change it yet, but we'll
Okay.
revisit it if we need to.
Right, okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Dale. Judge, I have another meeting at 1 after I go over there, and then I'm gonna have to come back over here too. Can we try to finish this?
Sorry with me.
Okay, before we go up there, unless Pete wants to go up there first and detain him until I get there?
I'm going down there now.
Okay, I'll be there in a little bit. We'll knock this out.
Is it okay if we go ahead?
Yeah, y'all go ahead. There's nothing music, give me a few minutes, I'll be there.
Thank you, Dave.
That's coming up.
This is article, out of 15 on the agenda, discuss, approve, disapprove, declare 5 sheriff's department vehicles as surplus property and how the court wishes to sell the vehicles either locally or through an auction in Atascosa County. Determine if the court wishes to put a reserve or minimum price on vehicles. Author Dwayne Villanueva.
This is for the 2 Tahoes and the truck that we have.
2 Tahoes and a truck.
Well, I don't know if in the van and the Crown Vic, but I think y'all are going to decide which vehicles we want it taken for the auction in Atascosa and which vehicles y'all want it done here.
As far as I'm concerned, take them all out of Scotia. I think y'all had good luck with them over there, haven't y'all?
We have before, yes, sir.
The problem is, Commissioner,
If they don't
it's not
drivable.
I was gonna say, I think the 2 dead ones, you're gonna be better off. By the time you haul them over there and you're ready to spend half what you're gonna get for them. I'd say take, we talked about this, I think Robert,
That'll
the
last.
sheriff.
Yeah, the sheriff.
I think these 3 good ones.
Okay, my question is that and the reason we brought it to the court is, does the court want to establish a minimum bid on those vehicles like that? The Tahoes they run typically on resale between $8,500 and $12,000. These vehicles, we're going to leave the petitions in them and the console because they're obsolete. They're unique to that vehicle. And next, if you buy a new model vehicle, those petitions will not fit in there. So it's just a labor to take them out. But I think I would suggest to the court, like DPS do, to put a reserve on them, if not a minimum bid of at least, like DPS does, depending on the miles and the condition, they put a reserve, or they'll write on the windshield 8,500 reserve or whatever y'all want to do. But you certainly don't want a vehicle that's worth $12,000 to $15,000 used to go over $100.
No, but you should know which ones that you could get a reserve on or could put a reserve on.
And that's what we're asking y'all to do. Would y'all like for us to do that?
I would, yes.
Okay, that's what we want y'all to authorize us to do.
So what do we do with the reserve and the minimum?
Is it based on,
Yeah,
how do y'all determine whether it's 8,500 or whether it's 12,000?
How do you?
NADA will tell you that a vehicle like that is worth.
So that's what you use?
Yes, but what we will base that on is the tires, the overall condition of the vehicle, the transmission is not slipping, any of those type deals. It has some cosmetic wears. None of them have dents or anything else. So to me, I would say put a $10,000 minimum on them or an $8,500, either one.
And that's on both Tahoes?
Both Tahoes. Now the pickup is transmission troubles, the air conditioner's out, and then so, but I still think a used 2011 pickup is.
Ford pickup will sell.
I think it will, and so I haven't looked at the NADA on that with a bad transmission. Now, typically those trucks will run around 8,000 to 12,000 used, but if you're talking about transmission problems, that can considerably lower that because transmission's expensive.
Would it be advisable to put on all 3 of put an 8,000 net to the county back? Because if you put I don't know what commission they charge, is it a percentage or is it a flat fee?
I want to say, does that letter say on there? We handed y'all a letter. I think it did say something about a fee at the bottom of that. I didn't read all of it, but I thought it said something at the bottom, like a 2%, or was it a? I thought I read somewhere that they.
We can call it.
We can call the sheriff.
I mean, if it's a small fee, you might want to go higher. I'm used to thinking at 10% at a standard sale. Well, to get an 8,000, you have to have 88 to 9 gross to get an 8,000.
And there's some also other deals, like Lawan has to put some time in there with the title and everything. So it costs the county some bookkeeping and all some other stuff. So certainly need to get a fair, reasonable price. So what was the court decide? Y'all want to do a 8,000 on all 3 of them? You want to do an 8,500, 10,000, or
what y'all recommend?
I'd go with what Commissioner Reynolds said, is put 8,000 reserve on them and SSC.
All right. Is there a motion?
We haven't, but I'll make it. I would move that we allow the sheriff's department, or not allow, but we Direct, thank you, Judge. The Sheriff's Department to sell the 2 surplus Tahoes and the Ford pickup at the Atascosa auction at the end of this month, I believe on the 29th.
Something,
May 4th.
May the 4th, I think.
May 4th, May 4th.
May the 4th, I'm sorry. May the 4th with a minimum net bid of $8,000 per vehicle.
You think that Ford Commissioner will sell for $8,000 with a busted transmission?
They don't know it.
It's slipping a little bit. James is not a busted, but I mean, certainly we need to disclose that. I don't want to,
Of course.
let's tell somebody that.
Most of those things are, what you see is what you get. But anyway, I think so, yeah. Because now this is, and we all know how close Bobby is, but he gave us 6,000 or 7,000 trade-in for the ag department pickup.
Oh, they
and
did?
that was older and much less nice pickup. So I would think 8 is not out.
No, I don't think so. Okay.
We can try and see.
Yeah.
Second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. All voted for, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 16, discuss approve county's preparation as the lead applicant of a pre-disaster mitigation grant application for the funding of a multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard action plan. Why does it only have, well, scratch it. In cooperation with Wilson County and the San Antonio River Authority, committed participating cities shall be used to offer.
In November 2015, the court voted to do this grant with hazard mitigation grant, it was a FEMA grant. Well, the money was available, went to the bigger cities, so the smaller entities did not get any of this funding, and they recommended that and they, meaning Texas Department of Emergency Management, recommended that the counties, or all those that are trying to solicit this grant for their hazard mitigation plan, apply to PDM, which is Pre-Disaster Mitigation Grant. And the federal government has allocated like $90 million for this grant, which means that we have to reinvent the wheel all over again. So I've given the judge, there is a resolution to sign and a deal for us to put in the paper, an invitation to bid to people, and we've got a list of possible vendors that could bid. We'll send them emails and stuff like we did the last time, and we'll get this thing rolling. It's going to be, the application is going to have to be in by April 30th, 2016, and then the state deadline for all sub-applicants to complete and submit the project application within the e-grant system be May 13th. So I'm asking that the court go ahead and approve this again. I've talked to Wilson County and all the other and Sarah, they're all still committed to go with the plan.
I'll approve item number 16 as presented.
Yes.
By Commissioner.
Second.
Any other discussion? I'm not clear on, so we must receive the proposals no later than 4 p.m. Monday, May 2nd.
Correct.
Okay, that's part of the motion. That's part of the motion? Okay. All right, any other questions or discussion?
Just one question is, once we pass this resolution, are you going to contact these?
Yes. Yeah, I'll get an email with the request for proposal.
And they'll come back to the court.
We'll have to score them. I did last time, LaJuan and I think who else did score them, but we ranked them, and then we came back to the court with a recommended vendor.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. All voted for, the motion carried. And we're now down to 17. Discuss approve the procurement of a planning consultant/firm to prepare the FEMA pre-disaster mitigation, PDM grant applications for the funding of a multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard action plan, MAP, and with funding the development of the map. Shelby?
Again, that's part of this, part of the previous one too, will be advertising, asking the court to allow us to go ahead and advertise to prepare the disaster grant application for funding of the grant. Judge will have to sign with the grant, there's a form that the judge has to sign and that say we are going to apply by e-grant system. And then there's another one he has to sign that I'll be the contact person for that. And then again, we'll be advertising in the paper.
That'll be part of the motion,
Yes,
that I sign the necessary application, and Shelby be named as the contact person.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. All voted for, motion carried.
Why don't we get Susie right?
Payment of bills.
Susie.
Oh, okay.
Amen, Herb.
Okay, this is an election contract and be signed, who all?
Judge Long and myself.
Okay. Well, it's got Karen Opiella on mine.
There's two of them that are like that, Judge, that I'm going to have to remove her name.
Well,
It'll be-
you're gonna have to remove it before I sign it.
Okay, I can do that. I'll take those off and I can bring those back. So the first, I believe it's Rungy and Falls City that I came across that.
These two, I think are real good.
Yeah, so, and those other two, she didn't put a name on there, so I just have to fill in my name.
Kirk, can we go ahead and make the motion and do it, and then she has to correct those and bring it back?
And then I'll resign, because it's the same thing.
Okay.
Just change the name.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand.
Nobody seconded.
Oh, okay, well, is there a second?
I'll do it.
Okay. So,
I'll get the names changed on this, Judge, and I'll give them to you here in just a few minutes.
I won't even ask too many questions about the bills today.
is there any discussion at this point? If not, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, all voting for, motion carried. This one's good. Karen. This one is also.
Before you get started, you handed a big pile of stuff. Is this for our budget considerations later?
Yes, that is the statement of expenditures compared to budget through March 31st. If you'll turn to page 8, I'll point out items of interest quickly. Out of the contingency fund, we're spending $8,557 this cycle on the assessment on this building and its issues. Further down on that page, $6,401.50 is for district court-appointed attorneys, county court-appointed attorneys.
Wait. Which one?
$6,401.50.
Okay, go ahead.
The next one, $3,600, is county. The following one, $800, is juvenile court-appointed attorneys. You turn to page 9. The first two entries are payments out of capital outlay. $6,989.70 is the phase 2 plans of the courthouse restoration. And the $1,296.18 is the roof restoration for the courthouse. You'll notice in this cycle, we're paying $594,193.76 for road materials. As previously discussed with Commissioner Reynolds, $1,849.44 for a door relay on a 2013 Kenworth tractor. And
you didn't make my job out.
and equipment rental, $1,974.01 is for the sweeper. This total cycle is $679,204.74.
non-departmental 210 East Calvert. Is that the stuff on this building?
Yes, $8,557.00 to pave con.
I didn't have much. Who is John Hutchinson III in the court expenses that got mileage and food?
He is a sitting probate judge. He not only gets reimbursed mileage and food, but he also gets paid a salary for every day he appears.
That's fine. He was with the lawyers and I couldn't find him anywhere else in there. Dennis is gone, but I noticed we had a bill from an ambulance company. Was that extra service we were down or something?
As far as from the sheriff's department, for inmate.
I'm in the sheriff's department, I'm sorry.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 4 of 10.
That was a female that is still in custody in Livo County, was pregnant at the time. She had a miscarriage, so they had to take her from the Livo County Jail to D County Hospital.
Okay. Well, it was kind of out of place, so I wondered. What? Go ahead, you first.
Other than feeding the dog, is the dog doing anything?
He's up to trouble with
But is he earning his food?
The Jim was here where he chomped on somebody in here the other day that ran for the police, so.
He chomped on somebody?
They turned the dog, the guy got away from him. The police were chasing him, they lost sight of him, turned the dog out of him, and he sniffed around the whole place, finally found him, grabbed a hold of him, and they ended up capturing the guy. So he,
Well, you know, I just wonder if he's still.
No, he's out there every day.
Probably judges.
Yeah, you didn't chew on no judge.
If he might be, gonna be a dead dog.
I don't blame you, Judge.
What's Rescue Ops LLC, Unit 221?
That's our equipment operator that puts in all our lights and everything. Graphics, the whole nine.
Are all your two cars, they're still operational?
Which two you talking about?
The Dodges?
Yes, the Chargers. There's 3 of them.
The reason I say I only seen one right now. I saw what's name in the Tahoe the other day. I just wondered.
One of them was down. We're getting a recall working done on Shelby.
Okay.
All the Tahoes and Chargers. They've been going to the shop to getting the recalls.
I know some of this stuff, and I'm on page 6 right now, is still drifting through from before Dale got here, but I noticed we still have some bills, I guess, coming through from this outfit that was putting culverts in, and I haven't visited with Dale about that, but anyway.
Sweeper money.
Yeah, that, I don't know if it's down or not. This one was a really good one, and this is probably something for children when you have problems, but the very last thing in Sheriff's CDS, it says Bears with T logo.
If you remember, a couple of Commissioners Court 3 and 4, when Ms. Eilers donated money to the Sheriff's Office to purchase bears for the officers to give out to the kids, that was part of the money that we used for that. And that's coming from our donations money. We're not using another account. Okay?
Ms. Eiler's been insistent that we buy those bears, so she's been calling, and now we finally got it done. So.
James second.
Any discussion? All in favor of paying the bills? Get up and leave.
No.
That's the next one. Raise your right hand.
You gotta sign the bill first.
All right. All vote for it.
Move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Now we can.
Chief.
Everybody's got to sign the.
Yes, sir.
I'm not listening.
Good morning, young lady.
I did. Yelled at you.
I asked.